Hello there, you beautiful, beautiful bastards. How are we all? Why is the chat not working? The chat should be working. Why is it not working? Let me check. Oh no, it did work that time. Why wasn't it working before? Oh no, it has. Okay, there we go. But it usually works before I switch to the screen. I don't fucking know. Anyway, whatever. How are we all? Sensationally well, I would hope. I hope you today spent the day celebrating the life of our Lord and Saviour, George Soros, obviously. Who else would I be talking about? What the fuck am I talking about? Why am I talking about? I don't even know. Anyway, we're going to be on with No Justice MTG in just a second. Where's the... There we go. Yeah, for the return of award-winning journalism. Laura Kay is back. Couldn't you feel the journalism in the air? It's there. You can taste it. It's beautiful. By which I mean, it's terrible. It's fucking terrible. What a load of shit. I spend the day trying to fix my Streamlabs. Well, don't even get me started on fucking tech problems. Jesus Christ, trying to get my chat to work on the football channels. Which, by the way, everyone go and follow my football channels. They're amazing. I did a stream yesterday. I'm going to do one Tuesday. I couldn't be bothered today, to be honest. Although I wish I'd fucking follow this Northern Ireland game. Absolute belter. They're drawing with Germany as we speak. But, yeah. Such is life. Such is life. You can help us out financially. If you wanted to. In the form of bits. Bits and super chats and memberships and bits messages and all of that sort of thing.
Oh, bits messages and ways that people can give us money. Is that right?
I was just doing that bit, yes, yeah, because I'd forgotten to do it up until that point. But yes, well, you can help us out that way. But other than that, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I just got back from Gloucester, so I'm a little bit tired, but it's not like I've got anything on tomorrow.
You go to the weirdest little places. What, you went to, was it Scarborough the other day or something, and then
it was Scarborough, yeah. The Scarborough last week, Doncaster yesterday, and Gloucester today.
But that was for training in Doncaster, wasn't it? The aeronautics division training. Oh, yes.
And I was in Belper on Friday as well. That's not exactly particularly far away from me, to be honest.
Yeah, but it is obscure. Let's be honest.
I mean, yeah, like it's also it's such a British random village name, isn't it? Belper.
Yeah.
You wouldn't find a Belper in America, would you?
Well, you find sort of everything in America. They've got like a dozen different towns called Independence. Obviously.
Or Corinth and Sparta and Athens. Those are all cities in America.
And Memphis, of course. Let's not forget. Yeah, there are lots of things named after other things. And then randomly, Boston. Which most of the people in Boston don't seem to know it was named after a tiny little village. Well, not village. It's a little flat city. It is the flattest place in the world, by the way.
Which is now represented by Richard Tice.
Oh, no, mental. I went to Boston, and they said, do you want to go to the highest point in Boston? And I went, yeah. And we drove out, and it was a slight bump in a field. Literally, you can see for miles. It's the flattest area in the world. They could do land speed records if anyone was bothered to go to Boston ever and do that. They could do that, but they won't. Anyway.
But Becker in chat's asking how people look at feel about the appearance of flags in their area. What is quite funny is that it was pissing it down today at least for the first half of the day in Gloucester, and people had put up some flags. So it was just like these kind of damp, sodden flags just fucking like clinging to lampposts. Honestly, it if the actors are trying to make me feel patriotic, I have the complete opposite.
Well, I thankfully I live in some sort of communist utopia, because I haven't seen a single flag around here. Other than, well, there is one guy who is known locally as the flag nonce, because he might also be a nonce. Anyway, who has a flagpole in his back garden with a flag, and that's it. But he's had that for years. Other than that, there are no flags. No one gives a fuck.
And you know what? And he can replace the flag if it gets tatty, rather than the flags that are going to be fucking up on like bridges over the motorway.
Yeah, that's gonna be brown and red by the end of the week. Yeah,
literally, it's not gonna be a good look, is it? And also, like, okay, you're showing the fucking M42. The flag, sure.
Yeah. Also, like, that's actually really dangerous. Like, I think the thing that sort of sparked this, the idea that flags in Birmingham were going to fall down and cause a problem, was probably a little much. I understand it, but it's a bit much. But if you put a massive flag overhanging the motorway, yeah, that actually is a hazard. Because if that falls, and people are travelling at 60 miles an hour, and it falls onto their car, you could cause people to fucking crash and die. Don't do that. That's really irresponsible. You want to put them up on fucking stupid, not regular ass fucking lampposts, I don't mind. And if you want to do the most divorced thing ever and paint a roundabout, who gives a shit? But other than that, just leave it. God almighty.
In other news, speaking of people wanting to leave the UK, have you seen that Graham Linehan might try to claim asylum in the United States?
Oh god, he's gone from writing jokes to being one.
some of the fucking quotes. We went over some of the quotes from the trial, which of course I'm just going to quote it. I'm not going to form any opinions on the veracity of anything said, because of course it is an ongoing trial. But one of them was just the person cross-examining him says, well, clearly you're far more aware of sissy porn than I am. And Graham Linehan responds and says, "Oh, you better believe I am," or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's a really great... I don't think that's the defence he thinks it is.
There's another point in the trial where the person cross-examining him talks about he says that she'd been... The person he's defending us was been an activist since 2013. And the cross-examiner says, "What, since she was 6 years old, you mean?" And he was like, "Yes." So quote unquote, so they say. And I'm like, well, their driving license says that they were 17 at the time. Well, if they're lying about their sex and their name, then they can be lying about anything. The man's fucking unhinged.
No, he's totally an actual mentalist. Yeah, no, for reals. Like, he's unwell. He's unfit, I think, to make his own decisions about fucking dental healthcare, let alone, going around harassing random people. And of course, he broke his bail clause yet again, because he's been back on Twitter ranting it up when that's specifically disallowed under the bail agreement that he signed. Look, it's not... You can say, "Oh, well, that's out of order, they can't do it," but he signed the fucking thing. Otherwise, he didn't have to take bail. He could have just stayed in prison if he wanted to.
It's just so funny to me. It's just like, what's the conditions that I have to ensure that I'm not going to be a liability for the police if I'm let go? You're not allowed to post. You must stop posting. But
that's all he has left. He's lost his family, his cheese grater, his dignity, his career, everything. All he's got is posting now. And they want to take that from him too. It's a disgrace. He's the real oppressed minority.
Just that video of him on like the Nolan show going, they took my family. And then, like, it's that bit from The Simpsons where it's just like, well, pause at least you can pause it just at the moment where his heart breaks in two.
Yeah, look, not just that, but when you say they took your family, no, your family left. You became so insufferable that your family left, and so did your career, and your friends. And everything else about you, apparently. But don't worry, you were in that one episode of Alan Partridge, and that lives forever. So.
Also, so he turned up... That's a good point. Someone's put a summary in chat. He turned on day one of court, he stood outside for photos wearing a sandwich board, like one of those "the end is nigh" fucking mentalists. Also, was really greasy. Like, for some reason, he turned up with like the fucking chip fryer on his head.
Well, what I want to know is, all of the people that seem to like him, right, they take pictures with him and they post them online and stuff, but they artificially make his head look like it's about 2/3 the size of the rest of his body. So they're obviously photoshopping it, because no human looks like that, right? So I don't know why they're doing that to him. That's hard.
Like, I had videos from the day today come up on my fucking TikTok feed, and I'm just like, his head hasn't always been this big.
It's the mould. The brain growth. I'm going to say brain growth. I don't mean his brain grew. I mean there's a growth on his brain of spores. It's essentially the occupancy of his cranium now is mostly mushroom, I think, at this point, from J.K. Rowling's walls, I believe. Yeah.
Also, apparently during the trial, Graham Linehan has continually referred to the other person as Tarquin, just as a name that he's created. Apparently, just because they're
so it's not even their dead name or anything.
No, he just invented.
He invented a dead name for them. Amazing. Is that like woke dead naming, where you don't actually use their real dead name, you make up a fake dead name to dead name them with? I wouldn't want to be rude about it, Tarquin, you know.
Well, yeah. Apparently, he was like last Christmas. He was just spending his entire day on Twitter, which I think is very funny.
What's the best thing, that or Destiny spending his literal wedding night playing Dota on stream?
Wasn't during his actual wedding ceremony he was tweeting about Vorsh or some shit?
Some shit like that, but like literally his wedding night. Usually, you know, a night filled with, sexual mores and love. You know, an embracing of two people. No, he spent it alone playing a video game to a bunch of racist knobheads. Brilliant. Really, I mean, it is the saddest thing ever. That's why I think straight people shouldn't be allowed to get married. They can't take the sanctity. The sanctity of the marriage vow is just not. They don't take it seriously enough. They're frivolous, the straights, aren't they? Really, you know. Anyway, in breaking UK news, and I'm sure you'll be sad about this too. A friend of the show, by which I mean not friend of the show in any way whatsoever, Jess Phillips, who is, let's be honest, going to lose her seat, will not be running for the deputy leadership of the Labour Party.
Apparently, there's loads of names that are in the running. Like
Very sad.
Dawn Butler, Lucy Powell, a bunch of people might be running. It doesn't really matter though, because they're basically all just kind of window dressing for the McSweeney project.
Yeah, I mean, is Wes Streeting gonna go? Is he?
I mean, one would assume he's got his eye on the top job, but then could you use the deputy leadership position as a kind of bridgehead, I guess, to launch the soft coup?
Yeah, basically, I think that's probably the plan. I would imagine, but it doesn't matter, because just like with the reshuffle, it's shuffling the seats on the Titanic. It's like nothing's changed.
Playing musical chairs on the Titanic.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, like, what with regards to the things that are going around, the speculation is that what they're trying to do is launch some kind of soft left, like unity candidate, quote unquote, as deputy leader, to be there to bat for Andy Burnham to be given a seat at some by-election at some point so that he can oust Starmer, you know?
Well, that's not going to happen. What the fuck? It's like, I saw Momentum released a thing about like something, and I'm like, what the fuck? You've been dead for years. What the fuck is Momentum within Labour now? Like, the left doesn't exist in that political party. You're a corpse.
Thing, right? Apparently there is like a soft left grouping that they're forming to fight against Starmer's authoritarianism. It's like, we need to be a party of pluralism again, and that fucking ship has sailed. Yeah. Again, it's a lot of these people just thought that the crank left were a bunch of Trotskyist interests who joined just to vote for Corbyn, and in reality it was just a bunch of people in their mid-30s who thought austerity was shit. Yeah. And who thought that civil rights were important things to protect. Like, it was never like a surge of sort of Trotskyism, is there?
No, they just decided that like Labour voters were bad. Labour voters were Trotskyists or something. Like, traditional Labour voters are just scum who need to be ousted. Or, dare I say, fleas, for whom the door is open and you can leave. Oh no, they've left. What do we do now? Etc.
Exactly. It's just like they realised that was basically half the base who cared about just broadly redistributive, progressive, anti-austerity politics. And now they've all gone. They're just like, shit, how do we can't win these people back. Like, there was a time to try and fight against Starmer's authoritarianism internally within the party to have a party of pluralism. And that time was 5 years ago, Andy.
Yeah.
Like, this ship has totally sailed. And quite frankly, the Labour Party is doomed because it will never win these people back.
Sort of, yeah. Like, I think the Tory party is already dead and the Labour Party has signed its own death warrant. And it's probably too late to overturn it all now, you know?
Well, the reality, of course, is that basically their only way of maintaining political relevance is if they pass electoral reform. And then they can rebuild the coalition just rather internally within the Labour Party, but externally to the Labour Party, and build like a left block of like parties of the quote-unquote centre and left or whatever.
But they're not going to do that because ultimately the McSweeney project is a conservative project.
Exactly, like they don't want to be part of such a coalition.
Yeah, they're not going to ever, like, when they talk about coalitions and stuff, they mean with the right. They don't mean they're ever going to concede anything to the left ever.
No, exactly. I mean, them wanting to have some kind of cordon sanitaire around the conservative elements of the UK politics would, as I said, would entirely be of. That would only be possible were they not already part of the Conservative bloc themselves, you know?
Well, I mean, intrinsically, they've become the Conservative Party now, because that's why they're trying to threaten us with the Reform Party. They're not saying anymore, don't vote, you have to vote for us to keep the Tories out, because they are the Tories. And so they're now saying you have to vote for us to keep Reform out. To which I say, well, you're already doing Reform policy, so why is that so scary? Why would I vote for you over the actual thing?
Yeah, 100%. Although what I do want to bring up is this quote from a Dan Hodges article where he's been getting some internal stuff from people in the Labour Party about the deputy leadership election. It's going to be like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, one minister told me. There's going to be carnage. Everyone's going to be stabbing everyone else in the back. And the person who's going to end up with the most knives in him is Keir. 90% of the PLP hate him. The anger towards him is now off the charts. Honestly, you know, it's going to be fucking hilarious. I look forward to the internal fighting.
Yeah, no, I can't fucking wait. Banter. Absolute banter, yeah. Honestly, the Labour, they're going to try and do a unity conference in a couple of months. No, that's got no chance. Or in a month's time even, whatever. Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. And I can't fucking wait. This is where it gets you, lads. You purity spiraled on right-wing nonsense for so long that you don't know what to do. You're a million miles behind in the polls because, again, you had no plan other than fuck the left. And this is where you are. No one likes you now. Literally nobody, including yourselves. Enjoy.
Yep, they're ruling over the ashes.
True. Anyway, shall we... The main course for this evening...
Yes.
Which is the return of award-winning gerbalism in the form of Laura Kuenssberg. She's back. Mummy's back. Yes.
Let's go.
This is going to be awful. Fuck yes.
It's a really awful lineup.
Oh my! Well, when has it ever not been? I can't remember a week where they had like good guests on.
Well, there was like one Zach Polanski week, and that was basically it.
Joe Lycett was fun, eh? That was the first ever show, so like it's gone downhill from then.
Out she goes, and in they come. 12 new cabinet jobs. But are they Starmer's determined or maybe desperate dozen? Can the reboot resurrect?
Well, it's pathetic that a year in to a massive majority is having to do a reshuffle. Has it ever happened as quickly as that before? Has things fallen apart that quickly for any government ever?
I mean, I guess Rishi Sunak having to relitigate Liz Truss's cabinet after 40 days.
Well, yeah, Liz Truss technically wasn't around long enough to have done one. Although technically she did force a change in the head of state by violently murdering the Queen with her bare hands.
Well, I mean, she had to do her own reshuffle part way through the 42 days because she had to replace Kwasi Kwarteng with Jeremy Hunt.
You mean her erstwhile partner, Kwasi Kwarteng?
Indeed.
Yeah. By the way, we've reshuffled. Fucking hell! Our prime ministerial anal sex correspondent has moved over to prime ministerial heavy petting in the reshuffle. Okay, so if anyone sees Kieran, he's got a different brief now.
Labour's fortunes and spoil his fun. At the first of this season's political
Why is he
party
walking out like it's
conferences,
fucking stars
Nigel
in their
Farage
eyes?
has told
Tonight, Michael, I will be Adolf Hitler. Tonight, as Adolf Hitler. This is a reference that like 12 people who are old and British will get. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Well, no, the best thing surely is Dame Andrea Jenkins, who, in addition to being the mayor of a fucking council, decided to do a rendition of her own song called Insomniac, which was mental, and then sing the national anthem as God Save the Queen. Even though she's been dead 3 years.
She's so funny that the whole Reform conference is incredibly cringe, right? This was supposed to be their professionalization moment. And they brought up somebody who admitted to inciting racial hatred, which it took the form of a terrorist attack that tried to burn down migrant hotels. Someone who said that the fucking COVID vaccine was a scam. And a woman in a sparkly jumpsuit singing her own song badly and then the national anthem wrong. A week after, Farage went to another country to goad them into doing trade sanctions on us. Like, the party of patriotism, chat.
Yeah, I love the party of patriotism that literally doesn't know the words to the national anthem. Like, I disagree with the national anthem, but I at least know how to sing it if I wanted to. Jesus Christ, these people are mental.
Told us he can't yet say how he'd run the country because his team don't yet have the know-how.
That is our biggest weakness. You can ask me lots of questions about policy and personnel and all the rest of it. But if you ask me, how are you going to do this? I can't really give you an answer because I haven't got anybody in the senior team that's ever been there before.
To tell us more.
Wow, it's almost like you're a chancer. You're a piece of shit and a charlatan who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and has no interest in actually putting in the work necessary to be an MP of one seat, let alone the MP, so to speak, of the entire country. You lazy bastard. You can't even be bothered to visit Clacton. You've been to America more than you've been to fucking Clacton. I've been to Clacton more times and I've never been to Clacton.
About Labour's new senior team, John Healey, the Defence Secretary, is with us alongside the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch.
Who? Who are ya? Who are ya? Who are ya?
And watching all of this from the north of England, another of the Labour Party's big beasts, Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester. Does he think this is a refresh to impress? And our team at the desk for the next hour this week, there's nothing like a Dane. Emily Thornbury's here. Lord Michael Gove,
Jesus
now editor of The Spectator.
Christ. The wizened corpse of Michael Gove. And then a man who played a very good Hermann Goering a long time ago. And that's it. That's all I can remember him for.
I wonder what hoaxes that Michael Gove will have us try to believe today.
Yeah, it's something crazy, I imagine. Cancers in the vaccines? Why not? Yeah.
Who's been shuffled a few times himself, and actor, observer of politics here and across the Atlantic, Brian Cox.
Who, yes, that is the plural of cock, chat, yes.
Morning, and welcome back. Let's start, as we always do, with what's making the news this Sunday morning. There is a striking, if sombre-looking Angela Rayner on the front of The Observer after her departure. The Sunday Telegraph and the Sunday Times both splash.
I suppose we should mention the fact that the Deputy Prime Minister resigned. Thoughts?
I mean, the video put out, basically my point was that whilst I get that this particular tax thing was difficult, she was asked to get expert advice, didn't get it. That's her own fault. She got backstabbed by somebody almost certainly who leaked this shit to the press, because do you really think the Telegraph got hold of this without the help of someone from the Labour right who wanted to remove the last person even kind of basically representing trade union politics at the top of the Labour Party, right? Do you think the Telegraph journalists, was smart enough to do this on their own? Of course they're not. Like, she's obviously been stabbed in the back here, which is sad. But then again, like, yeah, you tried to make friends with a nest of vipers and then you got bitten. Like, no sympathy.
Oh, it's very Scorpion coded. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's look.
Yeah.
You sold your soul.
But now we shall both drown. Lol, said the Scorpion Lamau.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She ultimately sold her soul, and what for? This goes to show you, don't try and make deals with these fucking people. They're scum. They will sell you out. They will backstab you. Like, you joined a government with someone who said that they would stab a former leader in the front. I can't feel sorry for you that you got fucked over. You got into bed with the dogs and you got fleas. Different kind of fleas than the aforementioned fleas, of course.
On the government's intention to move faster on tackling immigration. There's huge expectation on the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. Nadine Dorries,
who, by the way, is a fucking mentalist, anti-trans bigot, anti-migrant bigot, who thankfully will lose her seat at the next election, so that's nice. But still, it's terrifying that she's become Home Secretary.
It's also going to be funny watching somebody who's previously been on pro-Palestine protests have to be the Home Secretary to enforce the ban on Palestine action.
Which, by the way, have they passed the 1,000 arrests mark yet? I'm not sure.
It was 900 last time I checked.
Yeah, all day. There was a big protest in London yesterday, and they were carrying signs that said, I oppose genocide, I support Palestine action. Now, you would never hear me say that, but I'm just quoting them saying it, because if you say it, that's terrorism and you get 14 years, obviously. And as if to enforce that, apparently there were no other crimes happening in London yesterday. So all of the police for the entirety of London just went and arrested people at that protest. And all day the number's been going up from 600 to 650, 700, so on and so forth. And it's up past 900 now, which is definitely a very good use of police resources.
And you can remember, there's so few prison spaces, the government accidentally had to let out a bunch of like sex offenders.
Yes, or Tory backbenchers, as they're otherwise known. But yes,
yeah,
a lot of rapists and stuff like that. People who went on to then murder, in several cases. So that's nice. But yeah, don't worry. The Just Stop Oil people, they're still no longer going to cause public nuisance. And all of these people are probably going to go to jail forever for daring to say that maybe genocide is bad. And also, remember the blind guy? Do you remember the blind guy in the wheelchair? He got arrested again. Multiple times, police officers of the Metropolitan Police have arrested a blind man in a wheelchair. Do you feel good, lads? Do you feel you go home and you kiss your wife and you pat your kid on the head and you feel, I've really helped society today. I feel really good about the world.
Apparently they all hate it. They all really dislike it because the
Don't do it then.
Yeah.
Just following orders is not an acceptable defence. Jesus. You don't mind looking the other way when the fox hunting wankers are breaking the law? Oh, that's fine. Step back, lads. Why waste police resources on something so frivolous? Fucking wankers. And by the way, when I said the police officer goes back and kisses his wife, I think a 5-knuckle kiss is a kind of a kiss. That's often what they do with their wives. Look it up.
Conservative, now Reform Party backer, calls on her old friend Boris Johnson to get together with Nigel Farage to crush Labour. Soapland makes the front of the tabloids with the sacking of EastEnders.
Why would anybody from Reform UK want to have anything to do with Boris Johnson, the guy who got into government and then massively increased NHS spending that Farage wants to privatise? and
No,
also
please.
led to
No, please, the rats, you need to get onto the sinking ship.
ship. And I was just like, but also Boris Johnson was the one who presided over the literal highest year of inward migration to the UK in recorded history.
Yeah.
The Boris wave is what the Reform supporters describe it as, right? I think Nadine Dorries misapprehends the support for Boris Johnson amongst Reform UK voters.
Well, the Reform... Oh, my God, the Reform dickhead. Did you see that fucking just gamete that runs Warwickshire County Council talking about this at the Reform conference? He was talking...
No, he's not even a gamete. He's just got gamete potential.
True. Well, he's from egg-producing stock, of course, so that's fine. No, he's he was talking about this, and he was like, "I'm glad that Nadine Dorries has joined the Reform Party, and she can be part of our attempts to get rid of the Online Reform Act or the Online Safety Act." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, she wrote it. She wrote it and helped pass it. Motherfucker, she literally did a rap. There's a video of her rapping about how good this fucking thing is. You mad cunt. What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Literally, it's so funny to me.
God, these people are such ignorant pricks. Sorry, I'll get very angry. I need to calm down.
Star Jamie Borthwick. And here is the scene live in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. We can see the aftermath of the latest attack overnight by Russian drones, hitting for the first time.
Bang on, aren't we past the 2-week mark that Trump gave for peace? Didn't he promise that there would be massive sanctions on Russia if there wasn't peace in 2 weeks? Almost like he's full of shit.
I'm sure the guy whose campaign is run by somebody literally paid by the Russian government, i.e. Paul Manafort, I'm sure that he really takes his opposition to Russia seriously.
Very much so. Ukrainian
government buildings in the heart of the city. It has been, though, the three of you, quite the first week back in this political season. You're a senior voice in the Labour Party, Emily Thornberry. Do you think this is the...
Not senior enough to get a cabinet position. Lol.
...reset with this new cabinet that Keir Starmer was hoping to achieve all along?
Well, it's such a mixed picture, isn't it? I mean, we're doing so well internationally, and our standing is so much higher. We're back on the international scene. But domestically, things just don't seem to be working. I mean, there are things that we're doing which are fantastic, but nobody seems to know about it. You know, the highest wage growth, you know, building some homes, you know, having...
Building some homes! Jesus. Are you a parody at this point? I have to ask. Building some homes. Okay. Brilliant.
Is that one of the steps? Was that one of the missions?
Like, okay, people can't afford to heat any of those homes, but we have built some homes. Also, you haven't built anything. You've left it all to the private sector, which is why it still isn't happening.
And why the ones that are being built are unaffordable anyway.
Yeah.
Having actually investing in green energy, all of these sorts of things are brilliant achievements. But nobody seems to be hearing about that. They hear about the mistakes. And the question is, why are we making these mistakes? We can't afford to keep doing this because we've gone from having the fantastic gift from the British public of a huge majority to now being at 20% in the polls. And we will have...
Well, when James O'Brien said under any other leadership you'd be 20 points ahead, he meant 20 points ahead of no votes. So he is still technically correct, I think. They are 20% ahead of 0. So that's...
It is honest. I mean, lots of polls don't even have them at that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, some of the polls that have the Your Party factored into it, which is a bit sketchy given that we don't really have policies or anything for that party, but some of them have them competing, genuinely competing with the Labour Party in terms of percentages.
I mean,
that tells you everything, I think.
There's a poll that just came out on the 3rd of September that has Labour only 8 points ahead of the Greens. Which
Amazing.
is, I mean...
Spectacular.
I mean, it is nice to see that all 3 polls that have been put out since Zach Polanski's been elected leader all have the Greens on double digits.
Yeah, I think you will get a boost, because I think the people fucking like someone with a pair of bollocks on them that will actually fucking say something. Like, that's why they're offended by him. It's not just that they dislike his politics, but they know he's like a genuine person who does believe some things.
Yeah.
Which in British politics today, like that blander statement, he believes in some things, shouldn't be unique. That should be like a standard for every politician.
Well,
but no, that makes him almost unique.
Well, he does. You say he believes in some things, but has he built some homes?
He hasn't built some homes, no, but he has started a podcast. Oh, podcast!
And honestly, you know what? It's getting loads of views.
It is. I said at the time. Look, I mean, we do a joke about podcasts because most podcasters are fucking detritus that need to be swept into the gutter, right? But if the media aren't like giving you the airtime, create your own. Yeah, that's fine. There's an ecosystem there. People like Novara Media, and I mean, the Young Turks used to be vaguely left, I suppose, and Turn Left and all the rest of it have shown that there is an audience for that. So access that audience. Zoran Mamdani's campaign, people need to look at that shit because he's on a different level. Did you see he did the fucking treasure hunt thing?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Really cool.
He did like a geo guest fucking thing and you went around the city and stuff. Like, that's different level. That's on a, like, he and his team are exceptional, I have to say. I think a lot of leftists around the world could, or certainly let's say in the Western world, could look at that for tips.
In the next election, I think the biggest fight of our lives coming, which is against Farage. And the last thing we want is to go from a position where it was thought we would be in for 2 terms.
But hang on, you said there that you're opposition to Nigel Farage, and yet seemingly public policy at the moment is made by looking at what Nigel Farage just said and then giving that as a policy. So in what way are you the opposition to reform? Like, exactly. Nigel Farage is basically Prime Minister in all but name.
Yeah, in absentia.
Yeah. Absent in America, of course.
To hand our country over to Farage.
And we'll have more time to get into this later on, but if you could sum up in a sentence what you think the mistakes represent, what is it?
I think it's not listening. I think it's not listening to people of goodwill.
I love that. If you can sum up in one line, it's very sort of day to day. And a noise.
Party to succeed. I think we need to do more of that because I think that the answers are out there. But I think that we need to continue to listen and learn from the public.
Brian, watching this as an observer and an outsider to Westminster, but someone takes a keen interest, how damaging do you think the Angela Rayner tax saga has been for people?
Well, I think they've milked it for all it's worth, and a lot of name-calling that's going on. I'm fed up with the name-calling, quite honestly, of, both parties. I mean, I both Conservative and Labour. I wish they'd stop it. And I wish they'd get some sense of proportion. I think Angela's situation is actually truly tragic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
because she did report herself. She did do it all. Also, stamp duty. I mean, I have not a foggiest about stamp duty, what the hell you do about it, and what level.
Well, yeah, but what you do, you are rich enough, and so is Angela Rayner, to employ tax experts. A kind of bookkeeper of kinds, if you will, who could advise you on what to do, and then you do that.
Apparently, she was told to get expert tax advice and didn't do it. Like, at that point, you've made the rod for your own back.
Yeah,
sad,
absolutely.
Really.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Northern Ireland did lose 3-1. That's a shame. But thank you to Calypso Polska and Scar DB for randomly following one after the other like that. Very suspicious.
Also, thank you to Jacob Bethel for giving England the biggest ODI win ever.
Mental. Absolutely mental. Bowled South Africa out for 72. To win by 342 run. It's a one-day game, you mental bastards. I remember when 342 would have been a monumental total. And now it's the winning margin. Okay.
It's the biggest winning margin ever.
Ever.
In ODI history.
Which is fucking mad. And again, I'm glad we stole him from Barbados. First ever professional century as well. Which does make you think, why is he England captain?
It's just sad because I've been fucking mouthing off about Jacob Bethel. I'm like, why is he in the Test team? He's just
well, he's not a Test match player yet at this point, so he shouldn't be in the Test team, really.
No, I think that's the thing. It's funny because the selection process seems to be, we'll find people who we believe have talent, and that'll be regardless of their actual success at the county level, or their proving aptitude. We're just going to go for people who we've seen in the nets and look like they have talent, right? That's how Zach Crawley's been given an endless fucking infinite run of not being able to score any runs as a fucking opening batsman.
He really has summed up the art of not scoring runs. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Apart from against Zimbabwe, naturally.
Was you're at. So I mean, and also she was dealing with something very particular at that time, which was the Grenfell. What she was doing with Grenfell, she was seeing the family.
Oh, by the way, on the point of cricket, for those who don't know, I've started a sports reaction channel thing, and I'll be doing football watch-alongs and things like that. And I was thinking of doing something with the Ashes over the winter, if you wish to join at some stage.
Definitely, that sounds good to me. I mean, I can stream politics until like midnight, and then that's when the cricket will start.
Boom. Perfect.
You know, she was the one who's instituted the whole thing of taking it down finally, which has taken a while. I mean, you had a few problems with that, I know.
Certainly.
And I think that's. I think it's a really tragic situation. Also, from the left's point of view, she was very important. She was a very important.
No, she isn't. She sold her soul a long time ago. I know what you mean, but yeah. Yes, it is the England team is the team of England and Wales. That is technically true, yes. Yeah. Which is why they play games at Cardiff occasionally.
They do indeed. And why Glamorgan is an English county, apparently.
Yeah, that does always feel a bit weird. Yeah. But anyway,
I mean, if Grant Jones hadn't taken that catch, and if Simon Jones hadn't taken those wickets, though, we wouldn't be in this position, would we?
Well, true, but I mean, not that it was Grant Jones's fault, but that was not out.
True, it wasn't out. It wasn't out.
But you know, this was pre-fucking DRS referrals and all of that sort of thing. It was just out. Bowden put his crooked finger up, and the rest was history. Beautiful. Anyway. The channel is called KFL Reacts, which is not necessarily the most pithy title, but I tried like every other combination of things, and all of the channel names were taken. So that's the best I could do for now.
In that.
There has been some sympathy for Angela Rayner, but also frustration inside the Labour Party that she did make, by her own admission, mistakes. Michael Gove, who do you think...
Well, I cover Irish football. I'll cover the Irish national team on occasion, especially if they qualify for anything, which I hope they do, but yeah, I'm not confident.
Profits more from this pain for Labour, the Reform Party, or could the Conservatives turn this to their advantage?
Well, it was certainly the case that Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives made the principle right.
Who? Who was that? Kevin who? Who was he?
Kevin Logan.
My room tomorrow, Kevin.
Did he just get shouted out?
I would inform you.
Dope.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you to whoever it was that did a voice thing then. I completely missed it because I was talking. Thank you, King of Silver, for resubscribing. Thank you. Arizal Dave in North London, who said, I will be cleaning my room tomorrow, Kev. Just thought I would inform you. Well, you can do so whilst watching either myself or No Justice streaming, if either or both of us are streaming at that time, which I don't know. And I'm on a hype train. If we get to the next level of the hype train, I will finger the Conservative Party because it is dead.
Running on the issue. So as the story developed, it was the Conservatives who were harrying in a way that obviously Brian disapproves of, but in the feral world of politics, it was the Conservative attack team that were generating news stories all the time. There is a risk, however, for both Conservative and Labour that the conclusion that people will draw from this affair is that the established parties are in it for themselves.
And of course, that's one of Nigel Farage's main arguments, is that essentially they're the same, they're as bad as each other and sort of co-conspirators, your two parties in a same rotten system.
Well, that is Reform's principal goal, really. You know, the country at the moment is divided between those people.
I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong, right? But what they failed to mention is that they are also part of that system as well. Like, down, not just down to the policies and the donors and the political ideology, but also down to a lot of the fucking members who are just, like, again, the Tory fucking reject bin. Imagine, like, being the Reform UK and who you ended up with from the Tories? Nadine Dorries, fucking Andrea Jenkins, and Jake Berry.
Yeah, it's the detritus of the Conservative Party, the rats that were first to jump from the ship.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
With the Tories, I don't think there's enough there for you to need to wear a glove.
Thank you.
Kitty Bong.
Thank you over the story with 1312 bitties. I don't know what that number means. Does anyone know what that number? It's just random set of numbers there. With the Tories, I don't think there's enough there for you to need to wear gloves. Kitty Bonk. Are you suggesting their anus has withered and died as well? Because that's probably true. That's what cocaine does to you. Anyway, yeah, back to Michael Gove being horrible. Just a horrible, horrible person.
Who think that it's vitally important that we improve our...
Oh, yeah, that was the point I wanted to make. When he was going on about the Conservative attack team creating stories in the press, it's not very difficult when literally the press is owned and run by Conservatives. Like they're pushing an open door. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, I think I could get stories in the press if I was a Conservative. And I'm nobody.
Institutions, and a section of the population that actually thinks that our institutions should be torn down because they're basically not working. It's not just reform, however.
Niall asks a very good question. Didn't he used to wear glasses? True, but as part of the breaking open the heads of babies to drink the juices inside, he stole the eyes of a baby and placed them into himself, as well as sucking out the soul of every person he passes. He's sort of a devil creature. You know? So his eyes are youthful, but as a window to the soul, they hide many crimes.
That is speaking to that constituency. It's also the Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultana new party on the hard left, and of course Zach Polanski, the new leader of the Greens. I don't think I agree with him on a single thing, but he's a powerfully charismatic figure.
Okay, all three of you. We'll be back with you later in the show. Thank you.
Okay,
for
I
watching
know.
today.
Well, I
Well,
now
it all
hate
gone
Zach
swimmingly
Polanski.
in year one.
I now hate Zach Polanski, and I want to remove him as leader immediately because Michael Gove said something nice, so he's tarred with the brush of evil. No, it's over.
You know, it's funny. It's like people talk about Zach Polanski like with those this incredible charisma, and I'm like, I think he's a good speaker. It's clear, you know, his acting years have done him well, right? But he's not the most charismatic. He's got good charisma, but he's not like Zohran Mamdani. He really is the king of high level charisma as a politician.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
you compare him to literally every other fucking politician.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. He's in terms of actual charisma, he's like pretty mid, really. Like not terrible, but he's fine.
He's serviceable. It's good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
But
yeah.
like you say, compared to every other motherfucker in frontline politics, he's like the Riz god.
Exactly.
Because when you've got the prime minister
Sometimes
that
maybe
is
good, sometimes maybe shit.
that's by the way, the timing on that. Sorry, you didn't hear that. My new alert is former Italian footballer Gennaro Gattuso, and a famous bit he did in a press conference where he goes, "Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit." Right. So as soon as I said, when you've got a prime minister that, it came on. Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit, and it was perfect. Absolute chef's kiss. Right. When you've got a prime minister.
See, I want to do, but actually, on that note, I need to change one of my alerts. Then there's a video of some guy speaking in the Kenyan parliament, and he goes, and the parliament will be even in a deeper shit. Oh, sorry, that is not parliamentary. Which is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Anyway, when you've got a prime minister who is like a black hole of charisma, who makes everyone around them less charismatic by his mere presence, having someone with even a semblance of charisma is, it makes him look like the life and soul of the party, you know?
Yeah, because I genuinely couldn't tell you somebody who's more charismatic than Zach in like frontline politics at this point. There's literally nobody who's as charismatic as he is.
No, really, honestly, there isn't. Now that Michael Fabricant and Michael Fabricant's alien hair creature are no longer in Parliament, they it really is. It's just, well, I mean, technically Zach isn't in Parliament either, but yes. Thank you, everyone. We're still on the hype train, bizarrely. We're at level 2, so I've got to go and finger CCHQ. Thank you, everyone, for biddy bits and subs and stuff.
Also, someone in chat is asking if this Prime Minister is Rizless, but no. But Fatima Payman did call Anthony Albanese Rizless in the Senate last week.
To be fair, he is pretty Rizless, yeah.
when we've got a Rizless, oralist, Unk Prime Minister, a capped government is what follows.
An Unk Prime Minister. Oh God. I mean, I suppose it happens. I suppose there were probably people back in the, I don't know, 60s who were like, oh my God, I can't believe an MP described something as cool. Oh my God, these young kids and their slang terminology. The Parliament's gone to shit.
Well, Keir Starmer wouldn't have made so many changes to get ready for year 2. 12 cabinet jobs have got different people doing of them now, but many of them are swapping seats. There hasn't necessarily been a huge number of people leaving and a huge number of new people turning up. Only 3 people have actually left the cabinet altogether. One of them who's in the same job, though, is John Healey, the Defence Secretary, who joins us again in the studio this morning.
Is that when they're saying, well, nobody's been actually removed, they've just been moved around. I was like, yeah, because the only people who are allowed ministerial positions are people linked to the Labour Together Politburo, right? So there's only a dwindling number of them left now that there's been a bunch of scandals.
Yeah.
So that they have no choice but just move the same people around, because if they appointed literally anybody else from the Labour Party, they'd be opening the inner ring.
True. Seamstress says, with a thingy-majig super chat on the YouTubes, what about Match of the Marks Day for your sports channel, Kev? Can you wear the bowler hat, please? Well, I can do that, certainly. You've paid for that. But that is a terrible name for a sports channel. Like, I don't want to be rude, but that is fucking dog shit. I think that was rude. I think I was being rude there. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't want to do like a political name for it. Because whilst I will be talking about politics on occasion, notably when Israeli football teams are playing, I might mention that they come from a country that shouldn't be in the UEFA and FIFA system right now. But yeah, other than that, I didn't want to have like an overtly political name that would put people off. You know?
Well, no, thank you very much indeed for coming in. There have now been 5 Labour ministers who've had to resign over various mistakes or their own behaviour. Aren't voters and viewers this morning entitled to feel very let down by the Labour Party, who repeatedly promised there would be no more chaos, no more sleaze, no more of this kind of bad behaviour?
So these sort of things are part and parcel of government. It isn't whether they happen, it's how a Prime Minister and a government deals with them.
Yeah, corruption's just a normal part of the process. We're no better than anybody else. Don't forget to vote for us. Cool. Very good defence.
And I think we've seen this week clear, swift, fair action. We've seen a tighter system that Keir Starmer introduced, including an independent ethics advisor that judged Angela Rayner had broken the ministerial code, and that's why she resigned. And that's a contrast to what you invite me to draw from the previous Conservative time, when you actually saw the ethics advisor saying that ministers have broken the code. You had Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, leading to the resignation of the ethics advisor and not the ministers.
But the point here, Secretary of State, is actually Keir Starmer told us repeatedly for several years that these things would not happen under Labour. And the public thinks that things have been going really wrong more broadly. Your approval rating overall is now at -59. I think we can show our viewers how that has changed. And you ended up with this chunky reshuffle.
Yes, receipts.
Cabinet. What is it that you think has been going wrong?
Oh, how'd you get worse? 70% disapprove. 70%. You can't get the British public 70% of the British public to agree on the colour of the sky right now.
Crosa Luxembourg on Twitter pointed out that
another belter of a name.
It's an excellent name. It's almost good as CPAC Chopra, which is another one of my favourites.
Yeah, that is.
But they pointed out that there are almost fewer Labour members at time of recording, obviously based upon the most recent time that they told us membership, because they're not telling us anymore because it's too embarrassing, right? That there is now almost fewer people in the Labour Party as members who voted for Keir Starmer to be the leader in the first place.
Oh, because obviously he took over the leadership of a genuine kind of broad-based party, a mass movement party, that it isn't now because of him. Ethical case for socialism, everybody.
I mean, that's it. Again, literally, it's just so obvious to everyone looking that, they just didn't quite get the fact that there was people with different opinions in the party, and it's like they shat on all of them.
Yeah.
That has left you with 70% of the public disapproving of what you do.
So what you've seen this week is Keir Starmer having put in place and insisting on, and Angela Rayner respecting and recognising the sort of standards in public life that the public have a right to expect.
But what do you think's gone wrong?
So what's been going on in this last year has been.
I'm sorry, are you listening to what the other person is saying? Because you don't appear to be responding to them at all. Are you aware that there are other people in the room with you?
And people wonder why Zach Polanski can just pick up like support so easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, just he gets asked a question and then he answers the question.
Yeah, because like, what would have been different if she hadn't spoken? Because he just carried on.
A new government coming in, and from day one,
Beep boop.
having to deal with the fact we had the previous government crashing the economy, wrecking the NHS, hollowing out the armed forces. So it's been a year of
Mention the
starting
£22
to
billion
sort out
black
the
hole.
mess.
Mention the black hole.
Yeah. 22 billion. Come on now.
And put in place the basis to rebuild from there. And this reshuffle then is Keir Starmer resetting his team and saying to each and every one of us, you've got to go up a gear.
And when he says resetting, he means rebooting, because they're robots. They're just robots. So they just get, the new messages, beep boop.
You've got to deliver. And our job to deliver is to demonstrate to people that we can, as government, help change their lives,
So he
make
has-
them feel better off and make them feel more secure.
So he has told you all expressly
Look at that graph, mate. Look at it. Look at it in the face. Are the foundations fixed yet? Do you think they're fixed?
pull your socks up. It's your fault. The cabinet's not been performing well enough.
So it's delivery, it's delivery, it's delivery, and he's got a team now in place in the positions.
By which they mean that after the next election, many of them will have to go and work for Uber Eats.
No,
Delivery.
it's sad though. It's sad though, Kev, because as much as I wish that they were, as much as they did end up working in the shitty gig economy that they refused to tackle, even with the workers' rights bill, the biggest kind of betrayal of the workers' rights bill is that it left a bunch of gig economy people in the lurch.
Yeah.
Right, that was one of the big fights at the National Policy Forum. It's actually, though we won't be able to at least take some solace in the fact that they'll be doing the shitty jobs that they're forcing us to do. In reality, they're all going to get incredibly highly paid jobs in industry with the people that they've been schmoozing in their time in government.
That is true. I was just doing a joke, but I was just based up on the fact he said delivery several times. I felt like that was worth mocking.
That he wants to be able to build on.
Also, there's honestly, there's a very odd, dissonance between the wrinkliness of his forehead and the absolute smoothness of the top of his head. There's a very odd contrast. It doesn't seem to be tapering at all.
It's like the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, right? Have you ever seen the border?
I have, yes, yeah.
It's just it's so funny to me. It's just because one side just completely deforested and the other one, no, it's fine.
Yeah. Or have you seen the electricity usage, the sky at night of North and South Korea? It's like that. Yeah. Where's Pyongyang? Is there a one wrinkle up top there? I don't know.
On the progress that's been made, some real progress that I'm actually proud to have been part of.
But it's interesting
in this first year of a Labour government. But a lot of things still to sort out.
But it's interesting, listening to Emily Thornbury, she says what's gone wrong is that you haven't been listening. You haven't been listening to people in the Labour Party.
You haven't been listening to the fucking interviewer. Let alone the voters. He doesn't listen to the person he's talking to.
Well, that question, I understand you got a very important question you're asking there, Laura, but have you considered if we fix the foundations and if we £22 billion black hole, this trust, mini budget, interest rates, pension funds, line go up.
Yeah, true.
Deliver missions shift, public policy, milestones, first steps equals goods.
That was a litany. I love it.
Well, perhaps those MPs who for weeks and weeks were saying about the welfare changes, for example, we can't do this, it's too punitive, change course. And Keir Starmer and ministers like you for a long time didn't change course and you weren't listening. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't know what he's going to say now, but considering Keir Starmer's plan is to do more welfare cuts, I still don't think they're listening.
The most important thing for any government is to listen to the voters. Listen to the people who...
Well, they didn't like
give
it
us their
either.
faith and put us in parliament, in government in the first place. And that we have reflected...
Hang on, we're having that again. We're having... I thought... I looked at that and I thought, have I opened up a window or something? What's going on here? Look, we're having that again.
Award-winning journalism.
Award-winning journalism, chat. Just whenever you feel like my production values aren't high enough for you, remember this is the largest news gathering organisation in the world with a multi-billion-pound budget, and this is one of its leading programmes.
Literally,
people who...
I have a fucking £10 ring light from Amazon and my old phone.
Yeah.
That is my streaming setup, right? In terms of at least the video content. And I'm at least fucking like 70% as professional as the British Broadcasting Corporation.
Amazing.
Give us their faith and put us in parliament, in government in the first place. And, look, I'm proud of the fact that we have reflected the priority that people have to the NHS.
I love they kind of drifts in and drifts back out again.
Yeah, at no point did the crew behind the scenes go cut to a different camera. They just went, no, just move him out of the way. We'll just wait for him to move. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Thank you, Rachel. The donation says, call your sports channel ESVN. That's available. That's not a bad show, actually.
V for what?
4 million more.
Well, I suppose Kevin is the joke, but I don't know.
All right.
Appointments in this first year, waiting lists now falling. I'm proud of the fact that we've given a boost to 3 million low-paid workers with the living wage. I'm proud of the fact we've extended free school meals to 500,000 children.
Well, apparently it's
now.
not even available.
I'm proud of the fact that as Defence Secretary, I've given the Armed Forces the largest pay increase for 20 years, and as a government, we're now increasing defence spending by the biggest amount since the end of the Cold War.
So if it's so great and you've got all of these achievements, why does everybody hate you? Can you answer that? Why does everyone despise you?
I mean, there's promises that even if they do have done like things that I agree with, like workers' rights and free school meals and what have you, like all of that is completely undermined by like swinging welfare cuts and terrible foreign policy and trying to beat the right at their own game.
Yeah.
And failing.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, we don't have 1.5 billion to get rid of the 2-child benefit cap, but we do have 80 billion for more military spending because Donald Trump bullied us.
Literally.
Embarrassing. Fucking embarrassing.
Because we have to meet the threats that we're now facing.
It is very plain, though, that there is a lot of concern in your own party about how things are going. And just before we came on air, we spoke to a familiar face to many of our viewers, Andy Barnum, the Mayor of Greater Manchester. And we can listen to what he told us a while ago.
There isn't kind to people with accents. I've kind of felt that, and lots of other people I know. But if I compare the treatment I had, and I see what Angela's had to put up with over the years, I mean, she's just had, something of a much higher level, and it's for the crime of being a northern working class woman.
Yeah, but did you flash your minge at everybody, Andy? No, neither did she. But it fucking got told in the news anyway.
Literally.
Really troubling, I think, Laura.
I think it's. Did you see, Kev? Did you see the AI slop video of the fucking some rightoid posted of Angela Rayner like singing some song about buying houses wearing like a tracksuit with like.
Yeah, no, it was.
Like
yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was in a tracksuit with a can, and yeah, basically they revert to. They go from we really care about the white working class to they're all chav scum as soon as it suits them.
Literally. Again, it's so nakedly obvious that it's all being weaponized, right? And again, ironically, weaponizing identity politics, doing like woke right shit is what that's called nowadays. But just in general, again, they would never do it to literally anybody else. It's such obvious classism,
Yeah.
And also, like, even if it wasn't classism, even if there was like at least some amount of humor, it wasn't just fucking bunch of dross, right? Like, why do right wingers like AI slop? Why?
Because it's as brainless and pointless as they are. They're not creative people. You'll notice most artistic types are not right-wingers. It's not conducive. That mindset of hatred and selfishness does not allow you to expand your mind to creativity. Which is why they love AI, even though it's a bubble that's about to burst, by the way, mark my fucking words. They love AI because it takes out the need to think completely.
Literally, again, it is proof that conservatism at its base level is just fundamentally artless.
Yeah.
Because they can't create their own art, so they have to steal other people's through fucking machine learning.
Yes.
About the political culture in this country and the way Westminster works.
Are you worried that the new look cabinet doesn't include the right balance of people?
I am concerned about the balance, and I think we need.
Why is he in Newcastle? That is the wrong place for you to be, sir.
To use the deputy leadership contest to discuss some of these things. Actually, not a running commentary on what the government's doing. I think we need to recognise that having a leadership contest for the deputy leader in a period of government, you don't want everything sort of opened up on what the government's doing. But I think it is right to have a discussion about the internal management of the Labour Party. And in a time where the scale and the nature of the challenge we face is such as it is, you need everybody pulling together, all parts of the party pulling together. And that points to a party management style that is less factional and more pluralistic. Labour MPs.
Where was your noise when they were being ultra fucking factional? Oh, that's right.
Exactly.
You're essentially still a Blairite at heart.
Well, that's the problem, right? 'Cause I think his opinions politically have kind of softened, right? Like he was openly speaking to Navarra Media at a conference saying, Blair got it wrong. We got it wrong on nationalisation and public ownership. We got it wrong. Like we should have done things differently, and I'm sorry for it. Like I believe his politics is more progressive nowadays, and his work as mayor of Greater Manchester, I think it shows that, right? He's actually going for a housing first policy. He took the initiative to create unified transport. Like he's at least doing. Despite talking the talk, he also walks the walk as well, because a lot of these other kind of grifters really don't. But regardless, like you're right. Like where was this energy 5 years ago when the purges were happening, when people were engaging in trot hunting, right? Like yet the party has already pulled together, Andy, because anybody who dissented has already been removed, or they've left because they were told to, right? This is not like outside of the factional purges. They just said people like. If you don't like the changes that we've made, the door is open and you can leave. So we fucking did.
Yeah.
They need to listen to them more and respect them more. They were the ones who, if you like, caused the change in terms of winter fuel and disability benefits. But they shouldn't be punished for that. I see good people, good MPs losing the whip. People like Rachel Maskell. That doesn't seem fair to me. It didn't happen in the governments I was in Gordon Brown's government or Tony Blair's government. We need a different style here so that everyone is included and we pull together.
Do you think Keir
I think
Starmer
what's
and his team are
important-
too
important point
thin-skinned
there.
then?
I think it just, that's a good point from Laura, actually, for once, actual quality journalism there. That is basically the reality here, is that I don't think it's necessarily about strategy, right? It's clear that neither Blair nor Keir Starmer needs the votes of people on the soft left of the party, because Blair needed them more than Starmer did, outside of just how depraved the welfare cuts were, that even the gigantic majority wasn't enough to pass the legislation, right? Is that Blair needed less of them, they needed more of them, and still didn't see fit to punish them when they disobeyed the whip. Just allowed them to do what they wanted because he had all the power, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Keir Starmer has even more power than Blair does, and he's so fucking he's got such a short fuse. He's
so vindictive. Yeah.
Yes, he's such a vindictive individual that he still feels the need, out of spite, to throw these people out of the party, essentially, to remove the whip and act like a fucking scorned head teacher rather than somebody who should be leading. And leading isn't about throwing your power around, it's about how you bring people together. And he just doesn't do that with his own party, and doesn't do it with the fucking country either.
True. Thank you everyone for the successful hype train as well. Much love.
They can't hack the criticism.
I understand that, but I think at times it's gone too far. And as I say, I would like to see our MPs respected more. That is the debate we should have during the deputy.
Have you seen Labour MPs? I don't want them respected. Jesus. Fucking awful. There's slum landlords and all sorts.
Literally, what have we had so far? We've had multiple slum landlords. We've had Jazz Aswell, the slum landlord. We've had Rushanara Ali, the one who's evict people, right? Rushanara Ali evicted people from the very expensive house she owned in London.
As housing minister.
as housing minister,
Brilliant.
she evicted people from a very expensive house in London, only to then rent it out at a more inflated price months down the line. We had Bio Alaba was the one who kicked out a fucking homeless woman from a flat that he was renting to the council, right? Just taking public money to house homeless people and then kicking them out when he wanted the flat back. We've had Mike Amesbury lamped a guy in the street.
Yep.
We had Tulip Siddiq, who is wanted for corruption by the Bangladeshi government.
Which is that's an especially lovely piece of niche corruption. Love it. Yeah.
I know, right? It was especially since she's related to former disgraced Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. We've had Andrew Gwynn, who had to quit because there were racist WhatsApp messages. And ones where he slagged off his own constituents and said he hoped they died.
Which, look, I assume all MPs want that, but you don't put it. You don't leave a paper trail. You leave that's an inside thought. That's not for the public's consumption.
No, exactly. There was Louise Haig, who resigned because of some spent conviction that got brought up, but in reality, that was something that was leaked to the press specifically so they could get rid of like somebody who at least believed in the brief that she'd been given, because she liked like active transport and stuff, and she was like vaguely slightly on the softest of soft left of the party, which is far too progressive for this government. She's got red hair. It's clear that she's woke, right? So
well,
she had
pronouns in bio, yeah.
Literally, she was full pronouns in bio, so they got rid of her, and essentially the entire government, including Keir Starmer at the helm there, is implicated in being given free shit by rich people.
Still goes to the Arsenal pretty much every week on everyone else, on someone else's dime, and then votes exactly how they want him to vote anyway.
And it turned out that during lockdown, Keir Starmer was giving public addresses from Wahid Ali's penthouse.
Amazing. Vote for change. Baldrick said it.
Oh, and let's not forget the Labour MSP who's just been charged by the police for hiding secret cameras in the toilets of Holyrood.
Yes, that's a belter as well. Also, talking of Scottish Labour, an examined part of this is the fact that he got rid of the Scotland secretary and replaced him with Alexander, again another form of Blairite piece of shit, or Brownite, I suppose, whatever. They're really pissed off that they got rid of him, because he was like the Labour Scottish MP for one of the terms, I think it was up until 2017, and he was good friends with Anas Sarwar and all the rest of it. So pointlessly and needlessly, they've replaced the Scotland minister and pissed off everyone in Scottish Labour in doing so. They didn't need to do that at all. It was really weird. And he went out to bat for Starmer at every turn as well. He was really loyal. He was just fucked over for no reason. Almost like they were doing it at random, like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, get rid of him. Like, just
literally,
silly.
I mean, I guess that's the same kind of slapdash approach they have to policy. Well, we'll just get a consultant to do it. It's literally the Alan Johnson thing, right? Fire 50% of the workforce. New logo, boom. You are now a fully trained management consultant. And also on top of this, speaking of scandals, there's one big scandal we thought. Remember Dan Norris? Dan Norris is being charged by the police for alleged historic rape allegations.
Amazing. Honestly, I'm so glad we got rid of sleaze from government. Aren't you?
The highest quality candidates. Only the highest quality candidates. We can't have...
and Wes Streeting's best mate, who he defended, and then it came out that he'd been convicted of flashing a child? Chasing them down the street with his cock out?
Just only the highest quality candidates.
Lovely, really lovely people, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We can't have, people who've unionised their own workplaces and been knocking on doors for the Labour Party for years, like Laura Townsend.
Communists.
Lauren Townsend, that is, sorry. Like Lauren Townsend. We can't have respected economists like Faiza Shaheen. We can't even have long-term Labour MPs like Lloyd Russell-Moyle. No, we can't have any of these people. Can't have somebody who was so well loved by his own constituency that they gave him a standing ovation at the MP selection process that he was unduly booted from in my constituency of Broxtowe. No, they can't have that either. Like, well-loved people from the community are not allowed. We must have Blairite stooges, people from the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change getting foisted upon people, or indeed the guy who was selected as a Labour candidate after giving the party 6 figures worth in donations. I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, amazing. No corruption going on here at all. Absolutely perfectly fine. I wonder why no one likes them.
Leadership.
Anyway, if you want to donate to our cause and get given a position in our government, which totally exists, you can do so with bits and sobs and memberships and super chats and that.
Contest.
I know you're not going to endorse a candidate this morning, but what kind of person do you think should take on that job, and what should their role be?
Obviously, I'm biased, but somebody from these parts, I think, would be great. Louise Hay, possibly Lucy Powell, who I think did a brilliant job in government. I think that's what it needs. We need to hear the voice of the party.
We need a northerner. That's all he's saying, though. We need a northerner.
I mean, honestly, Slay. Like, quite frankly,
yeah, I don't mind.
That is literally, we've had Southerners in charge of the country forever, and they've been terrible at it.
Yeah, we've got fucking Holborn and St Pancras covered, thanks. Maybe someone north of Watford wouldn't be a problem.
Quite frankly, it's so very, very true, very, very true. But I mean, I think what's funny is that Lucy Powell is coming up as her name because she was essentially gotten rid of from the cabinet, and full well the only reason is because she told Tim Montgomery correctly that he's engaging in far-right dog whistles over Pakistani grooming gang accusations when group-based sexual assault is predominantly committed by white people.
Yeah.
And that was deemed to be beyond the pale.
Yeah.
When it comes to the position in government, so she's been removed for not being sufficiently cucked to Reform UK.
Yeah. Any response from a different bias for a debate yet? No, he hasn't gotten back to me at all. I suppose he's quite a big chap. He probably gets contacted by lots of people, but he hasn't got back to me, so whatever. And to be fair, I have called him a briefcase wanker a lot, so if he did ever look into me, he might go, nah. Which is fair enough, I don't mind. But if anyone knows either him or, what's his name, the other lad, the Scouser, whose name is totally forgotten. Graham? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bully them into talking to me, please.
See the voice of the members, and then the voice of our communities behind that, particularly in the north of England, to counter that London centricity. And I just would say more broadly, I think it also needs to be a bit of a reset for the government. I wish the new cabinet and the ministerial team well, and I'm here to support them and work with them. But I do think there needs to be a reset of the way we're doing things. If the government says it's going to do something, it should just do it. It can't be right that we're still in negotiations about the Hillsborough law, for instance. That's unfair, in my view, to the Hillsborough families. This is a moment to sort of take a bit of stock, reset, and then as one Labour team come back strong.
It's not negotiating. He kicked it into the long grass. Now, it might come back at some stage. But he betrayed the people of Liverpool there. So your mealy-mouthed nonsense does nothing for me.
Because remember, he promised specifically to pass the Hillsborough law in full.
Yeah.
The Hillsborough law doesn't refer to some kind of nebulous idea about what the restitution should be, right? No. There is a very specific Hillsborough law that was drafted by the Hillsborough lawyers that has a very specific wording that was proposed by Ian Byrne from the backbenchers and was denied by the government, right? They want to have a proper process, i.e. they mean water it down. Because, of course, the current Director of Communications in Starmer's administration was previously the editor of The Sun. This man is scum. He should be chased out of the People's Republic of Liverpool with metaphorical baseball bats covered in barbed wire, metaphorically, because this is not a real thing that I'm going to say, because now you can apparently get arrested for that shit. So I'm not going to say that even as a joke. I'm going to tell you straight up this thing. You shouldn't chase him with baseball bats, but he should be metaphorically done so. He should not be allowed to set foot in Liverpool without people telling him what the idea of someone who not only writes in The Sun himself, but also hires members of the previous Sun editorial team to his own cabinet, and what the people of Liverpool think of that.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. But he also promised Esther Ranson he would pass assisted dying, and that didn't happen either. And he promised Esther Ranson. He gave his word.
John Healy, I know you're a proud Yorkshireman yourself, so you don't need to be told by Andy Burnham the value of listening to people from the north of England. But he, like Emily Thornberry, is saying very clearly there's a sense the leadership's been maybe too controlling. They haven't paid enough attention to their backbenchers, and that has to change.
I dispute that. Our focus has been on the public that elected us, the delivery that we're charged to change their lives.
He doesn't sound very Yorkshire. He's got London ways.
I mean, it's like when we were watching Bridget Phillipson on Channel 4, and she basically lost all of her Mackham accent.
Yeah.
She was pronouncing the U's like a southerner would, and I was just like, I know I'm from the south, right? But at the very least, if I'm gonna have a northern lass, I want her to actually speak northern.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because they go to all these fucking, when they're in London, they go to all these fucking middle class tea party type things, and they probably get embarrassed into speaking more formally, I think.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, like
in.
they go to like these ministerial deportment things, you know,
Yeah.
where they get taught like the thumb point.
Oh, that thumb point thing is so annoying. Like, fuck off.
Like, there's that picture of Damien Green and John McDonnell on like the BBC Breakfast on the Andrew Marr sofa, and it's just John McDonnell just fucking pointing straight at him and going like, "You're wrong about the nationalisation of the water industry. You're wrong." Just pointing direct at him, and that's like, perfect. That's what I want to see. Actually, have a political debate rather than just pretending to disagree.
True.
Which also got the best meme when it was just like John McDonnell pointing at them. Listen here, you little Tory cunt.
Yeah. The last Welsh PM, was Lloyd George. That's true, and also he's the only Prime Minister for whom English was not their first language. He was a native Welsh speaker. Little fact.
I don't know that.
It's a big part of the job we all do, and our government will miss Angela Rayner. She's not been a victim. She's under a lot of pressure, and Andy Burnham's right about that, but she's been an inspiration to many, particularly working class women. She's been a very effective minister, leading the the biggest overhaul of employment rights in a generation, and also starting the planning reforms that will lead to us building a lot more homes. So any government is stronger with Angela Rayner. But we've got a good new team in place now, and that's our job.
And outside the machinations of the Labour Party, though, what is going to be different for people watching at home? We think that there are about 1,000 people across the channel yesterday. We know the public have huge concerns about
No, France has way more than that, but they've got millions of people. There's like upwards of 4 million people that live in France. So there's a bit more than 1,000 people across the channel, I'm just saying.
Also, before we move on from ministerial removals and the reshuffle, I think I need to make everybody aware of some really important news, right?
Go on,
is that Lord Ponsonby of Shoolbreed has left the government.
Oh, not the Ponce man.
Lord
Lord
how's that a real
P.
name?
Oh, Lord P's
How is-
gone. Oh.
How is Lord Ponsonby of Shoolbreed a real fucking name? We are a joke country.
We are. I've said this before. Whenever they read out, like, you know, they say, oh, it's MP for Piddlesbury and Scumapum or whatever, right? And you're like, no, Americans, these are real places. I know it sounds like a stupid, like it's a place from, I don't know, Game of Thrones or something absurd, but these things really do exist, and we've got, you know, Lord Tarquin of Ponsonby or whatever. Yeah, nonsense.
Like Lord Ponsonby of Shoolbreed sounds like that sounds like a joke name that they would use for one of the pigs in Hogs of War for like the British team.
Literally. Oh, you break my body. I played that game at university whilst high so much. I loved Pigs of War.
It's so good. It's so
amazing.
good. The Russian ones were honestly the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, they were basically all the fucking same, pretty much. Like, there wasn't that much difference between them, but in terms of skills and things. But, you know, it was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
migration. Is
and voiced by the great Rick Mail, R.I.P.
Suggestions in the papers that Ministry of Defence sites might be used to house migrants coming here, and even a suggestion that the military might be involved in policing the border. Is that going to happen?
Well, Shabana Mahmood will be able to build on some of the...
Policing the border? What, so you're going to have them on the fucking beach? What do you... The border is the sea. It's not
What's
like in
funny-
America where they've got land and stuff. Look, it's the fucking water.
Well, funny was Richard Tice was questioned on this on LBC, and he said we need to put the military in the channel, right? And they were like, it was literally it was.
We need to
questioned,
drown the army. Yes.
Yes, it was questioned and said, like, but hang on a minute, do you know that it's illegal for them to like sink the boats or whatever? They can't actually stop them. And it was like, yeah, I know that, but they'll stop. Will they? If they know that they won't get it, why would they? How would they do that? It's like Maurice Glassman was on LBC and said that the Ukrainians have drones to stop people from trying to cross on dinghies, and I'm just like, what do the drones do? They just say. They broadcast a message that says, "Turn around, we don't want
We
you."
shoo them away. They're like horses. They're very skittish. You just shoo them away, and they'll go, "Oh fuck it, we'll go back to France." That's what they do.
What do you think they will just ignore them? Like, it's so funny. Like, they just
Yeah,
think
they've
they'll be
travelled
able to-
over. They've travelled over thousands of miles through hostile terrain, baking deserts, sweltering jungles to get here. They get all the way to Calais. They get on a little dinghy, which I mean, basically is a matchstick wrapped in bubble wrap. It's not seaworthy in the slightest, and yet they're going to be put off by a drone going, "Shoo, shoo, brown people, go, leave us alone."
Well,
like-
I mean, if the drones don't get them to turn around, surely the dinghy rubber sniffing dogs will.
To be fair, that they are pretty scary. They can sniff rubber for up to 3 miles away, so be careful.
The progress that Yvette Cooper's been able to make. So we've deported 35,000 people who've got no right to be in Britain in the last year. We've had the National Crime Agency mounting over 300 raids on smuggler gangs. And for the first time, we're now detaining people, ready to deport them because of the returns agreement that Yvette Cooper's managed to get in place with France.
For some reason, a Russia-Ukraine debate has sparked in the chat. I meant the pigs, the Russian pig characters in Hogs of War, not the actual Russian army.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're a Russian nationalist.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
You purposely personally ordered that strike on the Ukrainian Parliament building today, didn't you? You're a monster.
I mean, like, like it's literally called. The team is called Piggy Striker.
Yeah.
Right. See, this chat. This is what I'm referring to. I'm referring to this here.
There is a very silly video game from the 2000s called Pigs of War, where you play as one of many slightly racist coded teams of pigs. You can be the British pigs, or the Japanese pigs, or the French pigs, or the Russian pigs. There's lots of different types of pigs, and you have to blow up the other pigs with amusing weaponry and not so amusing weaponry on a series of levels and collect things. It's a fun little game.
It's great, and it's voiced by Rick Mail.
Rick Mail, absolutely, yeah. Again, slightly racistly, because he does like Japanese accents for the Japanese characters.
Oh yeah, it's like you would not get away with it nowadays.
No.
So.
Very, very much pre kind of wokeness. He would be cancelled for "You Siri idiots, you break my body," which was a phrase that rang through my head for years.
Thank you for the 20 gifted, Jack.
But we're absolutely determined. What you're seeing from Keir Starmer now is a recognition that this isn't just a job for the Home Office. It's all of government effort. And we in the MOD will play our part. We've got planners alongside the Home Office. We're looking at military and non-military sites for potential temporary accommodation. And this is about trying to restore control of our borders, which was lost over the last 5 or 6 years.
The German game was called Frontschweine. Front pigs. Okay.
Years, and the confidence of the British people that we can keep them secure and we can reflect our values.
I just want to be very clear about what you're saying, though. You say military planners will be involved in helping to manage what many people see as a crisis in migration. Are you talking about members of the armed forces being involved in enforcing our borders?
So at the moment we've got military planners involved in helping the Border Command. We've got them alongside Home Office planners looking at potential sites and solutions.
For accommodation.
Make no mistake, we're determined to end the use of expensive asylum hotels. We said that we'll do that by the end of the Parliament.
But it doesn't matter what you do, no matter where you house them, whether it's in houses or hotels or on barracks, they'll complain. Because they ultimately just don't want these people to be alive.
Well, that's it. Like they will try and rather than explain the reality of asylum and try and at least try and get people to see humanity, they will try and ape reforms rhetoric whilst trying not to break international agreements, and then realise that no, people just want the international agreements to be broken because they didn't realise the reality of the situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, you can deport as many as you like, but unless it's like you put together those weird fucking anti-immigrant wank porn videos on fucking TikTok or whatever, where it's like them breaking down and dragging brown people off in the middle of the street in their pants. Like, that's what they want to see. They want to see human beings humiliated and broken and shipped out to God knows where. That's what they want. These people are evil.
Well, they want women who are fleeing the Taliban to be shipped back to Afghanistan to be executed.
Yes.
That's literally what they want.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer wants to do that before now. The numbers are coming down. We're processing the applications that were completely stalled under the previous government, and we're deporting more now than we have done in recent years.
But I just want to be very clear on this point. Are you talking about the military helping just with the accommodation and managing people who have already arrived here, or are you talking about something else, the military actually being involved in enforcing the border? Because that's a very different thing.
Now, at the moment, Keir Starmer has said military planners are alongside the Home Office, planners in Border Command and planners alongside the Home Office looking at the way that we can accelerate the closing of asylum hotels, the development of alternative accommodation that can deal with people who are coming to this country illegally, who may need to be processed, may not have a right to stay here, and will be deported in bigger numbers as well.
Now, our viewers take a keen interest, of course, in defence, and we've talked to you about the military and defence matters on other occasions, and you'll understand why we've concentrated so much on politics this morning.
Also,
I must
and
ask you, though, about the strikes on Kiev.
At the start of his answer, he talks about like the Border Security Command, which, as we've already covered on this show, is bullshit. It's not a real thing. It's, again, one of these kind of mission statements. It's not a real department. It's just a mission statement about commanding the border security, essentially. And it's just, we will do the good things, not the bad things, codified into a bunch of missions without any actual strategic ways of doing it, other than, of course, the dingy rubber sniffing dogs.
Exactly, the dogs. Don't forget the dogs. They're the only thing that Britain does well now is stupid, made-up pretend dogs.
Overnight, Russian drones attacking government buildings in the heart of that city. I know you were in Kiev just this week. Despite...
No, this is not pigs of war. This is a different thing now, chat. Stick with us, okay? Now we're into like real Russians shooting real things, not piggy striker. Okay?
President Trump's claims that peace might be on the way. There's simply no sign of that, is there?
Well, at one and the same time, Putin is talking to Trump in Alaska, and he's stepping up this intensity of attacks on Ukrainian cities and civilians. And I saw the damage, as you say, in Kyiv this week when I stood outside the bombed-out British Council building there. But I also heard from the military and civilians alike the defiance and the determination of the Ukrainians to keep fighting Putin's illegal invasion. And we have a role.
But it's been 3 fucking years now. Like, this needs to stop at some point. Like, will there be anything of Ukraine left to be free? Like, what?
I mean, to be fair, I don't think the front has moved in the last fucking 12 months. I mean, the reality is that
I don't mean they've been
it's just a meat grinder. Like, people just being thrown into a meat grinder and over and over and over again.
No, I didn't mean they're going to be taken over. I meant like they're bombing it flat. Like, there won't be a functionally a state left.
They are literally attacking Kyiv and striking, act like consulates and shit, like stuff that Israel does, And yet, call out Russia. Well, call it when Russia does it. When Israel does it, it's a complicated matter.
Yeah. No. Well. Clearly, Greta Thunberg is a terrorist and she needs to be imprisoned. Yep. That's the only answer that makes any sense. You will never hear me say that I, Kevin Logan, support Greta Thunberg, because that's terrorism. You can go to jail forever for that.
In the UK, to coordinate those nations who are willing to stand with Ukraine now, step up the military aid as we're doing to keep them in the fight, but also to coordinate the nations as we are through the Coalition of the Willing, and I was in Kyiv this week, those countries, those nations willing to help secure the peace if we can get a peace agreement in place.
Okay, John Healy, we'll look forward to talking to you about that and other defence matters on another occasion soon, but it's always good to have you with us in the studio. Thank you very much for coming in. Well, Labour's woes have been, like it or not, an absolute gift for Reform UK, who seem to be having an absolute ball at their conference in Birmingham, the first of the season. As well as fireworks and signing football shirts, Nigel Farage sat down with us yesterday. And
Tonight, coming on as Oswald Mosley.
I wondered if he really could criticise the government for shedding ministers when he himself has already said goodbye to 2 of his tiny group of MPs.
Well, you can get away with it as a new emerging party because naturally there's going to be a filtering out process. I think the point about this government is they're not qualified for office.
Okay. A filtering out process is not, well, we just happened to ally with an open ethno-nationalist and a guy who kicked his girlfriend repeatedly. Like, there's a difference to, again, like the fact that the scandals when it comes to Angela Rayner, again, justified anger though it is she slightly underpaid stamp duty. And she, of course, she broke the ministerial code. Her resignation is reasonable, right? Is this as bad as being an open ethno-nationalist? Is this as bad as repeatedly kicking your girlfriend? Answer the postcard, please.
But also, Nigel Farage has used many of the same tax avoidance schemes, and, interestingly, is on the board, he's a paid member of a board that helps rich foreigners come into the UK in order to avoid tax in their home countries. Because he really cares about the borders, you understand. Yes.
Where are the life experiences of this cabinet? Where's the business brain in this cabinet? Where's anybody in this cabinet that's ever run a company or been in private business?
I run a company. We need to run a company.
That's the same thing as running a government. They're the same thing, and they operate exactly the same way. Because companies can issue bonds. Companies have a duty of social utility, and are not just there to make money, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. No, that's. I'm so glad he's going to be not prime minister or something.
It around. I mean, so what?
You said, though, yesterday you can't get away with being housing secretary and avoiding £40,000 of tax.
No.
But you want to be Prime Minister, and your own tax and business affairs aren't exactly straightforward. Your home and your...
I'm very sorry. I take objection to the very premise of that question.
Well, I'm going to just ask you about it, because I know that you believe and you say you want to be transparent and open. So your constituency home, where you stay in Clacton, is owned by your partner, I believe. And you have a separate company for your earnings outside being an MP. I just wonder,
Right,
I'm not suggesting anything...
well, number one, they're two separate questions. The fact that she's bought a house, I mean, why not?
I'm not suggesting there's anything improper. My question is that you, like many other politicians, have affairs where there's a lot of money swilling around and that are not very like the financial arrangements of most people. Do you think that you can relate to people?
Why is she sat so far from him?
He smells.
Yeah, he probably does smell, to be fair.
Cigars.
I have been for 30 years, in my own way, an entrepreneur. I've run companies for 30 years.
You have been a wanker, yeah.
But run companies, i.e. you have a shell company used to pay yourself in dividends rather than in income because it pays less tax. As you work as an employee of GB News, as a subcontractor or whatever, you're an employee of a brokerage firm, right? He's making this is cope. This is like absolute unmitigated cope. This guy, I mean, again, I couldn't give a shit if he ran a business or not, because again, at the end of the day, none of this represents like aptitude for governance, right? It's not political acumen being a business owner, but he just isn't one. He has a shell company that he uses to dodge tax. That's basically it.
Employed lots of people directly. I've employed loads of people as contractors. As it happens, I still employ quite a few people as contractors. I have a company that does a variety of things. Media income is just one of them. And you know what? Do we want people in politics who have paid tax, lots of tax, who've created lots of jobs, or not?
Would you commit to publish your tax returns as you proceed on your journey that Hope will be getting to number 10?
All my company returns, of course, are filed every year at Companies House. And
is that the question she asked? Did she say, will you reveal all of your business? Taxes? No, she said, will you publish your taxes? Which you can do. That's your private information. You can do so if you wanted to be Prime Minister, you know.
There for all to see.
What about your own personal tax return?
I haven't published my own personal tax returns. I personally think that's an intrusion too far. I don't believe it's necessary.
So that's not...
Of course not. And you're not doing that because you've not got anything to hide, obviously. That's crazy. That'd be crazy talk. No, I'm sure you're a good boy with absolutely no horrific mouldering skeletons in your closet.
something you would do on your journey to what you hope would take you to number 10?
At the moment, I'm not inclined at the moment to do that.
Let's then talk about immigration. Now, you said yesterday, if you make it...
But he's so transparent. He just speaks the truth, chat. He's so transparent. He's just like a normal person, isn't he, really?
A normal person with nothing to hide at all.
No.
Yeah, he's lived, except apart from the companies that he's done and the people that he's employed and the fucking jobs that he's created, the wealth that he has managed to siphon, you know?
Yeah.
Stop all small boats arriving within 2 weeks. How on earth would you do that?
As soon as the law is in place, as soon as you have the ability to detain and deport, you'll stop it in 2 weeks.
But to be clear about what you're promising the public, you're saying 2 weeks after you passed a law,
Of course.
which might take many months.
Well, we want to do it as quickly as we possibly can.
But just to be clear with people watching this, your promise therefore would be not if you get into power that you would stop the boats within 2 weeks. It's that after you passed legislation, which might take a long...
To be fair, and I don't want to be fair to him because he's a wanker, if he's saying we will follow the law, it's just we have to wait until we pass some horrific law to allow us to do this. At least he's saying, as Prime Minister, I will follow the law. Which isn't like, I don't know that you can really criticise that. You can say the legislation you're planning is monstrous, you're an evil bastard, but you can't say like, well, you promised you'd do it in 2 weeks, but actually it may take several months to pass a piece of legislation. What do you want him to, like, are you arguing he should go down to the fucking beaches at Dover with a Gatling gun and just start firing at boats? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're going to have unitary executive theory.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, he's not a fucking king. Jesus Christ. And I'm sure he would want to be, but, I mean, just, oh, God, the British media are rubbish.
Long time to go through Parliament.
Well, number one, let's hope it doesn't take a long time, but within 2 weeks of passing legislation, we will stop this, absolutely.
Aren't you risking doing what you criticise others for doing? It's making big, bold promises to the public that actually, when you look at the small print, don't quite stack up.
Of course he is,
The difference is we mean it. We actually mean it.
We mean it, but we know that it also won't happen, but we do mean it.
And it's going to be fun, because even if they do like fix it, countries will still be a shithole, and all the people that they galvanise to support by promising that it was the migration that was the problem are going to be really upset when they realise that actually it wasn't all along.
And it's going to be worse because they want to turn us into a fucking weird tax-free sweatshop for Europe.
And that's why they wanted us out of the European Union, right? You know, It's really funny for all those people who thought that Brexit would bring the jobs back because we'd be able to do protectionism and industrial policy, when in reality they were supporting a Brexit project that was launched by people who hated the fact that the EU protected its internal states from those outside the EU through trade policy. And in reality, what they have done is completely remove those protections to then sign free trade deals, not only with America, which is obviously a pretty similar kind of economy, but with like India as well.
Yep.
You have Indian whiskey undercutting Scotland.
And basically every bit of lamb you now buy comes from Australia. Brilliant.
Incredibly
the others
efficient.
Never have. The others just tell the electorate what they think the electorate want to hear without ever intending to deliver it. And the last government knew, and this government knows, that all the while we have the European Convention of Human Rights written into British law under the Human Rights Act, that this is difficult stroke impossible.
But would it not inevitably take a period of many months to withdraw from the convention, to pass legislation, to get it through the House of Lords, which you and I both know is not the kind of group of people who would be minded to say, sure, let's pass all this legislation overnight?
Well, you know what?
Well, again, if you put it in a fucking piece of... if you put it in the manifesto, which you would assume he would, that's going to be like front and centre of the campaign, then the Lords have absolutely no remit to do anything about that.
Yeah, if they try and stop you, just go, lol, Parliament Act, fuck off.
Parliament Act, yeah, because it was a fucking we were elected on this as a cool promise. So get wrecked, you old Tory cunts. You know?
Exactly. And this is what's interesting, right? Because the opposite is true with some legislation that was never in anyone's manifesto. So it was kind of ruled out by Starmer during the election, saying we're going to keep first past the post. Tories committed to it too. But I think we might genuinely see, with the Tories and Labour both cratering in the polls, they might be both like at 15%, maybe even lower than that, if Reform continues to take votes off the Tories, as will the Lib Dems as the Tories chase Reform. And likewise, things will happen with Labour, with the Greens, and with Corbyn and Sultano. The mainstream political parties are facing like almost complete wipeout at the next general election, but they have a majority of the Lords between Labour and Tories.
Yep.
So Labour can just go like, lol, we're passing electoral reform so that our party doesn't just get completely wiped out of Westminster. Here's our law. Please, Lords, can you pass it? And then, despite it not being a manifesto promise, quite the opposite, the Lords just pass the legislation anyway because it's a deeply undemocratic system.
Yep.
Which would also be hilarious if there was a wipeout and they didn't change the electoral system. We'd have this incredibly deranged situation where you'll have a reform government, probably a majority reform government, with 0 reform lords.
Yeah.
Where there'll be 2 parties with basically no seats between them and like 2/3 of the lords.
Yeah, because
It's
it's not a democracy, yeah.
Yeah, the whole system will collapse in on itself. It'll be completely like how would they pass any legislation at all if they have like 350 seats, 400 seats in the Commons and no one in the Lords? How on earth does that work?
I mean, how will they actually form a government bench in the Lords? Because they don't have any Lords. So how will they have a minister to introduce legislation in the Lords? Will they have to ask nicely for one of the Tories to do it?
Yeah,
What?
like, it's just
Look, how would that even practically work? Because they don't have a Lord right now, right? So, what would they even do? Do they just get one
for a Tory to defect?
No, what they'll have to do is they'll have to send one of the MPs down the corridor, and they'll just shuffle the paper under the door, and then they'll just the Lords will just have to read it there, just have to pick it up and read it, and be like, "Nope, we're not passing this shit." Like it what? Mad. Anyway, yeah. But I mean, to be honest with you, the Tories and the Labour Party being destroyed would only echo what's happened in loads of other European countries. Look at France. The old traditional Socialist Party is dead. The old Conservative Party is dead. You know, it's the parties that have sold the proletariat down the river on the basis of neoliberalism from the quote-unquote left side and quote-unquote right side have been swept into the dustbin of history, and rightly so. Unfortunately, they've been replaced with some really nasty alternatives, but people are fucking angry, you know?
Honestly, I mean, that will be the funniest part of a reform government, just how stupid our entire political system is, from the electoral system to the way we've divvied up the country to the bicameral parliament where one wasn't completely unelected and has fucking bishops in it. Like, it's all going to look pathetic. It's all going to look really, really stupid.
Yeah. Isn't Nadine Dorries a Lord? I don't think she is. Is Nadine Dorries in the Lords?
No, she was denied the prayer.
Yeah.
She was going to be on the honours list, but not for a lordship. I think it was something else. It was some kind of honour, but she didn't have access to it. Bloody Blah asks, wouldn't the Greens and your party also have the House of Lords problem? Well, the Corbyn party may well do, but the Greens would not necessarily have that problem because they have 2. They have
literally
2 lords.
The entire, because it's divided from, there's like a government bench and then there's the opposition bench. So the government bench, even with the Greens, would be empty minus 2 people.
Exactly.
And then the other lords would have to, I don't know, sit on each other's laps on the other side or something. I don't know.
Or what you'd expect that your party would end up having lords that would affiliate with them once they had MPs who had been appointed by Jeremy Corbyn as opposition leader, because they would be loyal to him, like Baron Sicker and people like that.
Yeah, there are like sort of old leftoid types that would probably either defect or fundamentally kind of defect, sort of.
Yeah, because Baron Sicker is currently on the crossbench, right? So he would be able to just move on to the government bench. I mean, it would be funny if it was just Baron Sicker who's the only one.
That would be pretty good, because then he'd have to introduce every piece of legislation. So he'd have to be the Lord's spokesman for health and human services or whatever, and then for that's America for the health system, and then for foreign, and then the Home Office, and then the policing, and then for everything. He'd have to have every brief in the Lords.
Oh, apparently the Greens will get a third peer this year. Do you think I can convince Zach Polanski to give it to me for services to YouTube?
Yeah, why not? And you'd be the youngest Lord ever. Actually,
No, that's the Plaid Cymru one. She was in her 20s.
What? Oh my God! Oh, there are people in that place that are old enough to be her great grandfather. Like, that's weird. It's weird.
Yep.
Through those battles, one thing the country would know is that we're on their side, because at the moment they don't feel that anyone's on their side.
Over the summer, and since we last spoke, there has been...
You're on our side, are you? So is that why you went to America, to try and get us fucking sanctioned?
Literally.
Like some people have described that as treachery. Now, I don't think it stretches quite as far as that. I don't think that is being a traitor. But it's a lot closer to it than I would ever be comfortable with. Yeah.
Well, fundamentally, it isn't a traitor. He's not a traitor because he's just serving his real master, which is America and American unipolarity, right? It's only a traitor if you actually, at any point, have ever been allied to the UK, of which he isn't.
No, that is true. That is true. Thank you, Sazzle Snake, with 18 months. Much love to you. Much love.
Huge public disquiet about...
And yes, I am to blame. True.
There has, though, also, at some of these protests, been evidence of some kind of language, some kind of activities that I think a lot of people watching might find distressing. At one
But
protest...
thankfully, none of that language involved saying that they supported Palestine action, so the police don't care.
Oh, there's a fucking... Hang on, there was a incredible article today on that subject.
Because if any of them had said that they supported Palestine action, the police would have waded in with batons and arrested all of them.
I'm just going to pop a message in your DMs, Kevin, with a genuine headline, which you have to read to be, you have to see to believe.
Okay, let's have a look. Can people on your end see it, or do I have to share?
You share it, please.
Okie doke, I can do that. Let me have a quick look at this. Oh, I did see this, yes! Oh, this is amazing. So, yes. Apparently, it turns out, who'd have thunk it, that Zionists are lying bastards? Who knew?
Just an absolutely incredible headline, this one.
1 in 5 Britons now anti-Semitic, study finds. Survey shows almost half of the UK believe Israel treats Palestine like Nazis treat Jews.
Yes, because that's true. Like,
yeah.
Well, it turns out half of the British public have eyes and ears and brains.
Yeah. Little heads up for everybody, this was done by a group called the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, whilst a noble-sounding organisation is the Zionist Front Group.
I mean, literally, isn't it a front for the Jewish National Fund?
Yeah.
Which explicitly supports illegal settlements in the West Bank, i.e. international crimes.
Yeah, yeah. And is supported by people like the Chief Rabbi, who is, again, just a Zionist shill at this point. And has been spoken of kindly by the likes of Margaret Hodge. So again, it's just a Zionist front group. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
literally.
It.
And again, it's just by
they
anti-Semitic, they mean...
Yeah, they conflate criticism of Israel as being anti-Semitic. So,
which is, it turns out not the same thing.
No.
And indeed, by linking the Jewish people and the Israeli state together, you are trying to implicate all Jews in genocide, which they are not implicated in because only certain people in Israel are doing it, and not even just Jews are doing it. Druze and Arabs and Circassians also serve in the IDF and are also committing genocide. It has nothing to do with the religion or the ethno-religious group that people belong to. It is the state and the ideology of Zionism and the act of colonialism that is bad and that people are criticising.
Indeed. Oh, Kieran, by the way, you've been changed, you've been reshuffled. You're not the Prime Ministerial anal sex correspondent now. You know that your brief is Prime Ministerial heavy petting. Okay, you're in a different department now. Just saying. But you are still in government, though. Don't think of this as a demotion, but a new opportunity.
Also, another interesting part of this article, apparently 31% of young voters, about 49% of 18 to 24-year-olds said that they were uncomfortable spending time with people who openly support Israel. Yeah,
Good.
that's not anti-Semitism. That's just people who dislike genocidal colonial ethno-states. Like,
Look, look. All I'm saying is, when they say that 93% of people in Britain don't like hanging around with Nazis, why do the people of Britain hate Germans so much?
exactly, it's just crazy stuff. Like, I would also feel uncomfortable if somebody said that they like openly supported Azerbaijan, right? Like, ethnically cleansing the Nagorno-Karabakh, or if they did the same thing with their support for the UAE funding the rapid support forces in Sudan who are committing genocide right now. Like, I would also feel uncomfortable spending time with people who supported these things too.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Like,
So
by the way, when it says 1 in 5 Britons now, what they're specifically referring to is people who agreed with 4 or more anti-Semitic statements, which was 20% of them. But
virtually
again,
none of which were anti-Semitic. Yeah.
yeah, what they are referencing here is people's opinions of the state of Israel, rather than anything to do with Jewish people.
This goes to show you that the Zionists don't care about Jewish people. They care only about the state of Israel and nothing else. That's literally it. It's.
Well, I mean, literally, it's honestly, it's so damaging because of all the people that are going to be harmed because they're being implicated in something that they are in no way implicated by.
Yeah, I feel sorry for especially British Jews given this story, but Jewish people around the world who get smeared with this shit. Like, they've done nothing to deserve this.
What's frustrating, right, is that one of the things that they have talked about in the article, which is potentially anti-Semitic, is a trope because 26% of the British public believe that Israel gets away with things because its supporters control the media, right? When, of course, the reality is that, well, they kind of do control the media, but it's not Jewish people or necessarily even Zionists that control the media. It is international capitalists who are allied with Zionism because it's how Western international capital has its own interests satiated in the region, right? This has nothing to do with Jewish people having a right to a homeland. It's nothing to do with the desire to ethnically cleanse Palestinians, or is at the very least contingent upon it. It is broadly about having the imperial outpost in the Middle East that the people who own the media support because it's good for business interests. It's nothing to do with anything about the ethno-state itself.
And, well, yes and no. There's also the religious aspect of this. The vast majority of Zionists in the world are Christian. That's just true. About 80+% are Christian, most of which are fundamentalist evangelicals in the United States. They are a huge voting bloc, and they want the ethno-state in Israel, so from the river to the river, right? From the Nile to the Euphrates. That's the Greater Israel Project. Have you ever seen that map that they use? That's literally from the Nile River to the Euphrates, so from Egypt to Iraq. And once that's controlled, they believe it will bring about Armageddon, which will involve the rapture of righteous Christians into heaven, and then everyone else, including all Jewish people, will be killed in the final showdown between Jesus and Satan, and Earth will be destroyed. So, you know, that's cool. They're a very important voting bloc in the United States. If you wanted to know why America's fucking mental. Anyway. It sounds like an anime plot. It basically is, but it's their sincerely held religious viewpoint. It's ridiculous.
I mean, like, you only have to look at the current, like, American cabinet to realise America is not a serious country, right? You see, Pete Hegseth is changing every single word in his bio just the word fucking war. Like the day-to-day bit.
Yeah.
It's war!
Personally, I'm uncomfortable with sharing time with folk that play Magic the Gathering.
True.
No redeeming
Hang on
that.
1 second. Suzzled Snake says, and I think this is true as well, personally, I'm uncomfortable sharing time with people who play Magic the Gathering. Which, you know what, I am as well. Thankfully, I don't know. We don't know anyone who plays that degenerate filth, do we? Hope not.
In North London, it was heard people saying, "Get these scum off our streets." Outside a hotel at a protest in Falkirk in Scotland.
Yeah, literally, they're just starting harassing random fucking people now. It's just a brown bloke in the street walking back from the shop, and he's being hounded by these evil bastards. The police don't intervene because the police want them to murder them, basically. They don't fucking care. Whereas if you dare to say something like, "I support Palestine action," again, I'm quoting other people there, you will be arrested. But if you just harass random brown people, if you threaten them with knives in the middle of the street for going to the shop or whatever, that's fine, no one cares. The police are just going to allow you to do that.
But no, two-tier policing, it's when white people get treated worse.
Yeah, and not just that, but the best example I have of this two-tier policing just got a standing ovation at a national political conference. Wow.
Because
terrible.
like the Reform UK conference is a conference of terrorist sympathisers.
Literally. They are British Hamas.
Like, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. Like, the position that they're in is that these are the people who are calling Jeremy Corbyn a terrorist sympathiser for wanting to have a dialogue to try and bring about a peace deal. And these people openly celebrate somebody who admitted and pled guilty to inciting racial hatred in the form of terrorist attacks on migrant hotels.
And say it's a free speech issue that someone got questioned by the police for asking people to sexually assault women in the toilets. That's the hill they're prepared to die on, apparently.
Yay.
We live in the shittest timeline ever.
There was evidence of people saying, "Keep Britain white." In Epping, at those protests outside the Bell, people were talking about pedo protectors. Now, as the leader of the most popular party...
Well, thankfully, he's just been with Donald Trump, who is the ultimate pedo protector. So it's fine. So he knows a thing or two about... Oh, that's not what they meant. Oh, sorry. No, my bad. Okay.
No, they said when they said release the files, he thought they said release the pedo files.
So they got sent back to Israel, yeah.
literally, some guy got fucking stung.
Yeah, no, that's what I was referencing. I wasn't just doing a "they're all pedos" reference. Like, literally,
I mean, there is quite literally plenty of like documented cases of people using the rights that they have to settle in Israel to avoid being caught up, but not necessarily for sex crimes, right? But for crimes in America, they just flee to Israel because there's no extradition treaty.
Can I pretend to be Jewish and get away with stuff? How would they know? What do they test for this?
I mean, apparently, if you're a convert, they still accept you.
Okay, well, if I ever get committed, like do a crime or something, I'm gonna pretend to be Jewish and fuck up to Tel Aviv. Which will make boycotting Israel a lot more difficult for me, to be honest. I don't know that I'll be able to do the boycott, divestment, and sanctions from the inside.
Party in the country, according to the polls right now.
Yeah.
I just wonder, do you want to condemn those remarks?
Very, very easy, isn't it, to take a few extremists to quote what they say. And by the way, equally, we could talk about them.
Motherfucker, literally, that's what you do. You say, "Oh, there's this Muslim that believes this one thing." You've been doing that for fucking 30 years, mate.
Well, the entirety of these asylum protests were off the action of one asylum seeker.
Yeah.
One asylum seeker who got caught being a nonce is now the brush used to tar all asylum seekers.
Yeah. Circumcision. Oh, so okay. Sorry, to test whether I'm Jewish or not. Well, there are Reformed Jewish people who don't do circumcision. I don't think it's like absolutely essential.
Masked Antifa thugs turning up at these events too. But let's remember how these protests start.
Trantifa, please.
Well, also, like, what thugs? What violence has been meted out by anyone even vaguely anti-fascist when the people who are the ones, like, apparently they were throwing smoke bombs? People that went in masks and attacked a fucking asylum centre? Like, these were your people, mate.
Yeah. Well, what about the alt-left? This is his, like, very fine people on both sides bit now, I think.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Started. What was the Bell all about? The Bell was all about mothers and women in Epping from the local community, quite rightly, protesting that a 14-year-old girl had been sexually assaulted by one of these men.
You have just been hanging
like, you can't
out.
Protest against the fact something had happened, right? Protesting is about government policy, not about things that have happened in the past, right? You're trying to protest to wind back time. We're going to jump in the fucking. We're going to go do Terminator rules and go back fucking 3 months.
Yeah. Also, like, you don't get to be the we're defending women and girls guy when you were literally just with Donald Trump, a rapist.
Yeah.
When you have been happily to take photos with Andrew Tate, with Conor McGregor, with various people who have either been accused of or convicted of sexual assault. Come on now.
By boat. So let's just keep a sense of perspective on this. And actually, we've seen case after case of this. There are too many undocumented young males coming into Britain, being free to walk our streets.
Young males, again, young males. They're coming here, they're taking
Misandry.
our women. Yeah.
It's misandry. It's a blatant misandry. What's funny as well is that, like, they keep saying, well, there was a case of an asylum seeker doing a bad thing. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to ban all Scottish people because of Dunblane. Is that what we're going to do?
Or ban all Scottish people because of J.K. Rowling. To be fair, we should ban all Irish people because of Graham Linehan. And that would get rid of my dad, and I wouldn't have to fucking do stuff.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Thank you, Gennaro. James Holmes says, has Farage always had grey hair? Seems like it. Well, I don't know. I don't remember it. No, I do remember, actually, in his early days, he had brown hair, yeah.
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 Who come from cultures in which women are not even second-class citizens. And that is the brutal truth of what we're...
Oh, whereas they're treated really well here. What was that about someone putting fucking cameras in the toilets at Holyrood? Motherfucker, the entirety of British Parliament is just filled with sex pests. Where is this that our fantastic pro-women culture, exactly? Like, I'm not suggesting that there aren't places where people come from where women are treated worse. I'm sure that's true. But the idea that we're some paragon of virtue who gets to look down on these people as if we're some high culture. Motherfucker, you took advice on a race riot from a man on trial in Romania for sex trafficking and said a lie that got people to commit race crimes.
Actual pogroms.
Yeah. Like, motherfucker, where is your respect culture exactly here? Fuck off.
So, are there some people on both ends of this who turn up because they think it's all, going to be, in their interest to stir up discontent? Yes. But at the heart of it is a genuine concern. And that's why you're seeing flags going up all around the country. This is...
What about the neo-Nazis that have organised in Epping? You okay with that?
Is the ordinary decent British people are literally sticking two fingers up to the establishment.
But in order...
How are they? By putting up a flag that flies in front of every government building? Literally, like they were doing this in Birmingham. They were like, oh, we're fighting back. We're, blah, blah, blah. Motherfucker, it's outside the government, it's outside the council building every single day. The Union Jack is on display 24/7 outside the council building. What the they're not banning it. It's not banned. You're just full of shit. You're desperate to be victims when you are the power structure.
And it's, again, just the funny bit is it's just, I feel like it's all just because of memes they've seen on Facebook. Like, share this because the England flag was banned because otherwise Abdul would be offended, right? Like, please share or there will be, or 5 ghosts will visit you next morn to kill your firstborn. Like,
yeah, with minions on it. It's got to have minions on it.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, painting English flags on Welsh and Scottish roundabouts. True. Or not knowing which way round the colours are supposed to go and accidentally putting a Danish flag in the middle of a roundabout, which has happened at least twice that I know of. Genius, honestly. Or the one that painted an England flag on their Mercedes-Benz van.
I think the most embarrassing one was when they painted the St. George's cross on like an old mattress they'd thrown out. I'm like, this seems like the opposite of national pride.
Well, someone, right, and this for me is actually poetically poignant, I suppose. They took a red post box and painted like the Union Jack on it, and I was like, so you're taking a symbol of Britishness, the red post box, a thing that is a cultural signifier of Britishness, and painting a sloppy, weird, shit version of a flag that you don't know which way round it's supposed to go, because they never fucking do, of course, onto it and completely ruining it. So it's not noticeable as that British thing anymore. It's now just a fucking sloppy eyesore in the middle of the town. That's the perfect example. That's exactly what these people are. They don't actually like Britain. They don't seem to like anything about Britain. They have this imaginary version of Britain in their head that they think should exist because they believe it once did, even though it never actually did.
Yeah, exactly. It's all just imperial nostalgia, again, imperial nostalgia for a thing that for a version that was entirely kind of fabricated in their own head.
Yeah.
Ordinary people's concerns aren't misrepresented. As the leader of the party that right now is the most popular according to the polls, do you want to condemn those kinds of remarks or that kind of sentiment being expressed? Because it doesn't do a service to the people who have worries.
In order this is not misrepresented, it is not fair of the media just to quote extremists and not mothers who...
Okay, but you can say, yeah, but I do condemn those extremists. You can do that. Like, I had to do that a million times with Hamas, a group that I've never shown any inkling toward. Whereas you have echoed the kinds of racist shit that these extremists have. So I think it would be pertinent for you to at least, you know, condemn that. Unless you're after their votes, of course. Nigel.
We're genuinely concerned. Do I welcome extremist comments from either side? No, I don't. Of course I don't.
From either side.
But I worry.
There are bad people on both sides.
Talk about
there
what
are.
The extremes say, we miss the essence of what's really happening here.
Are you saying things all the time now as someone who wants to be absolutely...
For a manly man, he sits very puffy. And I say that as a man who is a puff. I'm allowed to. I get the P word pass.
You do get the P word pass.
That is the camp. Look at that.
Well, it's like Donald Trump, right? Like, if Donald Trump wasn't like the kind of the burgeoning fascist fucking dictator of America, right? He would be like incredible queen.
He wears more really makeup than any woman I know. 100%.
It's so sad, right? He's so bitchy. He's so catty. Honestly, you know, if he wasn't such a fucking monster who was heralding the end of human civilization, slay. Like,
yeah, no,
like,
he
it's
would
such
be
a,
awesome,
it's honestly, it's such a waste of prime queen material.
True. And we know he's got a lawyer called Rudy Giuliani who likes to dress up. So they could become like a double act, a drag queen double act. Ronnie from Queens and the New York's mayor. Let's go.
Absolutely taken as a politician deadly serious about politics that you really mean. Because one of the things you said recently is that Britain is becoming like North Korea. Now, we sit here having a free conversation, interviewing politicians. You can say what you like.
I'm not.
I'm
not an Irish comedy writer, am I? I'm not an Irish comedy writer who, for something I put out whilst I was in Arizona, and I'm not even a British citizen, gets met by 5 armed police.
It doesn't... What the... Hang on, whoa. Are you suggesting that British law shouldn't apply to foreign people who are here? Because what difference does it make if he's a British citizen or not? If he commits crimes in Britain, does that not fall under British legal jurisdiction? Nigel.
He's a fucking idiot, isn't he?
Like, you're a moron, mate. I know you're trying to throw as much shit at the wall and see what sticks, but, like, that's really, really strange coming from a man who believes in strong borders and law enforcement.
Also, what's the over or under on Laura Kuenssberg actually reciting the things that he was questioned over? Do you think she's actually going to do that? Or is she just going to imply that he was arrested for being mean? Yeah. Or arrested for holding anti-trans views, right? Or not even that. They wouldn't even go that far. They would say for over trans tweets is what they'd say. Right? That's all they'd say. You know,
or worse, they'll say, like, controversial viewpoints. Just leave it somewhat bland, you know?
Yeah.
Also, does he count as an Irish comedian when he hasn't actually gotten gainful employment as a comedian in, like, 20 years? I'm not sure.
At Heathrow.
But in North Korea, political protest is punished. People who try to leave the country are executed.
All of that. I think what happened that day to that man is the single most outrageous attack on free speech and liberty I've ever seen in this country. And
what if I said, Nigel? What if I said to my many followers, people should acid attack Nigel Farage? I wouldn't say that because that's incitement to violence and that's wrong, right? Right? What if I did say that? Would you defend me on freedom of speech grounds? Right? If I've had a call to violence against you, would that be okay, Nigel? I don't think it would be.
No, but he's one of the in-groups to which the law shouldn't apply.
Indeed he is.
And if you find the analogy of North Korea too much, well, there you are.
So you're clear.
Yeah, but you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot for making that comparison, Nigel.
Just making an analogy. My question, I suppose, is it a serious thing to do? To go to another country and tell them our country's
if it makes people think and debate what happened, good.
So it doesn't matter if you're wrong and you stir up hatred, as long as it gets people to think good. Well, maybe I can say that about your example there of, you know, threats against Nigel Farage. If it gets people to think about Nigel Farage, good. Right? That's the rule, isn't it, Nige?
Pretty much.
Across some pretty well-known Conservative figures. Nadine Dorries, the latest of them, former Cabinet Minister and someone who's close to Boris Johnson. I just wonder, do you fancy your chances of getting him across? Have you had any conversations with him?
I don't think that would really work somehow. I don't.
Why not?
Oh, I think that the Boris wave, you know, and I like him personally, I always have done. He's a very entertaining bloke, but I think that the Boris wave was felt by millions of people.
Legal migration to this country.
Yeah, millions of people being allowed into Britain, most of whom, by the way, don't even work and are costing us a fortune. That's something.
So they're not taking our jobs then? That's something, isn't it, Nige?
This audience were never, ever forgiven. Nadine was a Brexiteer, of course, herself. And
who literally would have crawled over broken glass to ride that man's cock. So
when you literally put him in government.
Yeah.
He'd already announced his lifting of immigration controls before the election. He had already said he wanted global Britain to try and anyone who wanted to come here and study and call their home. He was open about wanting more people to come here and study. And you put him into Downing Street with your electoral strategy.
Yeah. And of course, Nige, it's a bit rich of Nige to go on about how these foreigners don't work, considering he had 6 weeks off for the summer recess, and as soon as Parliament came back, he fucked off to America. When they had the statement on grooming gangs in the Parliament this week, not a single Reform MP turned up for that. Just in case anyone was wondering how that protecting the women and girls is going.
It's just the one commodity we're very short of, and that's experience at government level. That is our biggest weakness. You know, you can ask me lots of questions about policy and personnel and all the rest of it. But if you ask me, you know, how are you going to do this? I can't really give you an answer because I haven't got anybody in the senior team that's ever been there before. Nadine came yesterday, she's the first, and there will be others.
Oh, she came.
Isn't
Good
it
for
a bit
her.
rich, though, because you're criticising this government saying nobody's qualified to do it, and you're saying, I don't have people who are qualified to do it.
As of yesterday, I started to get more qualified to do it, and that process will continue.
So we should look out for more former ministers coming to join you?
Oh, yes.
Any...
So it's just going to be the Tory party, but with you instead of Boris. Brilliant. What a change.
Hints of who?
Not just yet.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed for
Thank you.
speaking to us. Thank you.
You should be fucking embarrassed at yourself for that softball bullshit, Laura. That was embarrassing.
Well, before we move on, what I do want to point out. So I was looking into further into the article about anti-Semitism that we're.
Okay.
So one thing that this Telegraph article tries to point out here is somehow to imply that the Green Party is the most anti-Semitic, obviously because they're critical of Israel.
Because they
right?
just elected a Jewish guy as leader. Yeah, naturally. Yeah.
The most anti-Semitic party with the Jewish leader that was elected with an overwhelming majority of the votes, right? Yeah, clearly incredibly anti-Semitic.
Massively.
Right?
But they're basically Hamas. Yeah.
Yeah, and their justification for it is basically entirely around their opinions on Israel and nothing to do with actual Jewish people, right? Do you want to hazard a guess, Kevin, who they say the least anti-Semitic political party supporters are?
Either Conservative or Reform, I imagine.
Is Reform UK?
Naturally.
What was it that Farage said about Jewish people?
The Holocaust didn't happen? Probably.
He said... So... this is what he said. Say, Nigel Farage has been condemned by Jewish groups and MPs for using language associated with far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, including his conspiracy theories about George Soros, and the... What was it? He also talks about cultural Marxism, which is literally a reheating of cultural Bolshevism, an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory literally pushed by the actual Nazi Party of Germany from the 1940s.
Literally, yes. Also interesting, isn't it, that Zach Polanski has faced some pretty gruesome attacks upon his appearance and his background and stuff. The same people who are out there screaming anti-Semitism at everything, a bit quiet on that one. Apparently he doesn't count. He's not quite the right kind of Jew for them, you understand? Yeah.
Well, it's almost like all of those not the right kind of Jews who got expelled from the Labour Party for opposing British foreign policy.
Yeah, yeah. Or the Holocaust survivor who was dragged out of a Labour Party conference a few years ago, for people who remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Because opposing war means you get physically manhandled as an 80-year-old. Brilliant.
But yeah, like, if you look at every single instance that they've picked here to show anti-Semitism among party voters is entirely around the opinions on Israel, apart from one of them, which is that 10% of Reform voters do not believe Jewish people are as loyal to Britain as other British people. And 24% of Reform voters believe that Jewish people chase money more than other people do. These
How are they the least anti-Semitic part? That's about as anti-Semitic as it can get. They're they're disloyal money grabbers. Like what the fuck is that?
Exactly. These are, and they explicitly point out these are higher figures than for voters of any other major party.
Because it's not about anti-Semitism to them. Doesn't mean being against Jewish people. It means being against the state of Israel. That's all they care about.
Literally, right? The most openly anti-Semitic thing here is obviously those statements there by like a country mile. Obvious anti-Semitism. And then the next one is about spending time with people who support Israel. The next one is about the Israel supporters being a bad influence on democracy.
Well, literally. And then, so you're ranked as not anti-Semitic if you think that Jews are disloyal, money-grabbing scum, as long as you also like Israel.
Exactly. Like, they point out that Reform voters are the most supportive of Israel. I wonder why that gave them the lowest anti-Semitism score, right? Every single other thing pointed out here in the article is about opinions on Israel, apart from those first two things, which are so virulently and genuine anti-Semitic. And yet somehow, because what they're doing is tallying up agreement with anti-Semitic statements, that makes the Green Party the most anti-Semitic and Reform UK the least, even though only one of these statements is actually anti-Semitic in nature.
Absolutely mental.
Like, one of them,
that study, the fact that they the fact that they are publishing that study in the British media shows you how pathetically cooked to Zionism the British media is, because that should be laughed off as a fucking crank study.
In reality, I think that the Telegraph aren't doing this because they're in hoc to Zionism. I don't think they really care either way. The reality is this is more Project Esther stuff, which is mostly Christians weaponizing opposition to Israel as a way of laundering criticism of their political opponents as being anti-Semitic because of that, right? They are using the weaponization of anti-Semitism due to people's opposition to Israel and the erroneous link between those two things to try and essentially eviscerate support for left-wing causes more broadly. This is a very explicit Christian Zionist project in America. It's a very big right-wing conservative project in America, which is being imported here, and the Israeli government are pushing it. Drop Site News did a really great study, or there was really great leaked data that was found by Drop Site News, essentially showing that there's a bunch of market research that the Israeli state has done into countries in the West by saying that, well, they're all of them have got much less trust of Israel than they used to. It's massively dropped, especially in the UK and in Spain. They've massively dropped off. And their explicit strategy to try and reaffirm support for Israel is to spread Islamophobia amongst the countries in Europe and in America, right? To try and essentially paint the Israeli state as the bulwark against the hordes from the east.
Yeah.
That's why this is Project Esther stuff. I don't necessarily believe that the Telegraph care either about Zionism or clearly not about Jewish people at all. Hence the Telegraph's attacks on Zach Polanski with kind of shades of anti-Semitic attacks on him in terms of the way in which they talk about him, you know?
Yeah.
It's because they're trying to delegitimize left-wing causes by tying them to anti-Semitism because of our dislike of genocide and colonialism.
Yeah. Fair points.
Well, let's go 50-50. Let's begin our conversation about Nigel Farage and then talk about Labour and the reshuffle. Brian, while we were watching that, you said he's just an incredible person.
Yeah, I don't mean incredible in a positive way. I think incredible in a negative way. I find him very venal, quite honestly, as an individual. He's selfish, and he's, on the whole, quite uninformed. I just dazzled at the way a lot of people have been seduced by him. because he's a bit of a bully. You can tell it the way he conducted an interview with you. I thought was a lot of it was kind of just badgering. I just don't trust the
You
man.
can tell he's a
And
bully and an
also-
authoritarian by the fact that any time he gets a question he doesn't like, he turns into a nasty little schoolboy.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar in some respects to the current Prime Minister, who doesn't like being questioned either.
Now, I know
Or
you've been part of that,
contradicted
but now
anyway.
what happened with Brexit, there's never been a more positive time that we need to be a Europe. We've got to be Europe again because of what's happening in the Ukraine. And if we don't recognise that now, we're lost.
And yet, Michael Gove, listening to Brian, there will be lots of people watching at home thinking,
What's
no,
happening,
Nigel.
what's happening in the Ukraine? Is there a pigs of war situation? What's happening? See, now all I can view with that situation through is pigs of war. It's the only point of reference I have anymore.
Farage is the one who understands my concerns. He's the one who speaks for me because, frankly, your two parties haven't done a good enough job for many years.
Well, he's a formidably powerful communicator. I mean, of course, the biggest, I think, revelation in the interview was the point that he almost volunteered at the end about the unpreparedness of reform for government. So I think, to be fair, actually, he relishes a row over asylum in Epping. He enjoys being able to use the North Korean analogy in order to bring something back to a free speech issue.
Surely not a politician saying something controversial to create a conversation and draw attention to it.
Imagine such a thing happening. So all of this is catnip to
I
him.
don't know that there's a group of people I hate more than posh Scottish people.
Fraser Nelson.
Fraser Nelson
worst.
is the worst because it's not just that they believe awful things, because your average Scottish person's cool, but the posh ones are wankers, right? But they talk like they want to sound English, and yet they sound nothing like any English person ever.
It's just, I mean, as someone who is proud of the Scottish people in my audience, right? True, proper
Absolutely,
Scottish people,
yeah, completely.
right? Like the idea that someone who sounds like Fraser Nelson is like the mainstream representation of Scottish people in our media class. Honestly, I feel like that it's an absolute stain on the union, and I'm not surprised you people want to quit.
Yeah. What about posh Irish? Yeah, they're pretty fucking annoying too. They're pretty annoying. They're just less prominent, I suppose. You don't hear so much of them in the press. Certainly over here, anyway.
But the fundamental reform...
Whereas fucking Fraser Nelson's on Question Time every other week. It's between him and Farage for the most fucking appearances, isn't it? Jesus.
The lack of a detailed programme for government, let alone the people to implement it. And later this year, we're going to be facing a much
that's a
more
point. Have we done a
economic-
school check? Have we done a school check on Gove? Let's have a look.
I mean, I've got to assume it's something
Absolutely appalling. Let's have a cheeky little gander, shall we? He went to Robert Gordon's College, which is a co-educational private school in Aberdeen, before then going on to Lord Margaret Hall in Oxford. Yeah, no, he's a wanker.
Was that a private school into Oxbridge? Did he study PPE?
What did he study? Good question. I'm trying to look at the thing. He studied English, which is appropriate given that he pretends to be English. Yeah, absolute wanker. He was president of the Oxford Union in 1987, so in the year I was born. God, he's old.
Situation, and it is on the economy that reform is weakest of all. When the conversation
this is not an Aberdeen accent. I know people from Aberdeen. This is not an Aberdeen accent at all. No.
Wars and borders. This is home territory for Nigel Farage. But when the conversation moves on to the economy, that is where, as we saw actually at the Reform Conference, they don't have answers.
But you were there, and I just wonder, having been to many political conferences, both as a journalist and then a cabinet minister and a Conservative MP, what did you make of the assembled
We cannot,
gathering?
no,
Because
we
having
can't
been
make
there
those kind of
myself-
claims. We don't know that he was consistently bullied and forced to eat the soggy biscuit. We don't know that, chap. He could have been the head boy. We don't know.
The head boy.
Well, then it's a long night, isn't it? You know, you got to entertain yourself somehow at boarding school.
The difference between Reform right now and your two parties, frankly, is that they look like they are having a great time. They are making their members feel good. They are pulling people in. And that is giving them success in the polls, at least for now.
That is true. I'm just about old enough, I was at school at the time, to remember the Liberal
A private
SDP.
school where you were getting bum silly, yeah. No, I didn't say a Coke educational school. There's no proof, chat. There's no proof for any such illegality. He's a good boy, honest.
Phenomenon which had, funnily enough, I mean, very different ideology, but had something of the same apparent freshness about it. The difficult thing about politics, and this is what Farage himself acknowledged at the end, is that campaigning is easy, governing is hard, and at the moment, Reform is a festival. What it is not is an alternative government.
Emily, when you look and listen to Nigel Farage, what do you think he is doing right that your party is getting wrong? As you said, you don't think Labour's been listening to people enough, so you've given us your analysis of that. But what is he doing right that you're doing wrong?
I think there's something about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. And I think that he gives that impression. I mean, I don't think that he does mean it. And he actually, at the end of the interview, was saying, well, don't ask me any detailed questions. The point is, I really care. I really care, and I care more than anyone else. But don't ask me any questions about what I'm going to do, because I don't have the experience to be able to do it. It's beyond being a snake oil salesman.
Imagine that, a government coming in that didn't have a plan. That would be a shit thing to have, wouldn't it? Because then you'd
really
have to
would
make
be.
policy on the fly, and it would be fucking rubbish.
Well, it's funny watching Emily Thornberry say what Keir Starmer should have said fucking 6 months ago, a year ago even.
Yeah.
It's like, someone saying, oh, well, tell me about your snake oil. He goes, oh, well, I don't think I've got any at the moment because I don't have any experience, but I will get some snake oil. I mean, it is absolute palpable nonsense, and it won't, I hope, survive a general election when I hope it is properly examined and people start saying, well, exactly what is it that you're doing? I think also the other
But
thing...
the media are totally on board with his project, so, like, why would he's not going to get fucking done over by the media in a general election, is he?
I mean,
Unless they start digging up, like, fucking skeletons or something.
Well, the media would love him as being Prime Minister because he would just be fucking endless content for them. He would be a content machine.
Well, he is very Donald Trump in that respect, yeah. Yeah.
Literally.
The fucking liberal media love it because he's just perfect content for them. He's the perfect foil for them.
You know what else is perfect content? The content that me and Kevin are making for you right now. By watching content made by the BBC and making snarky comments which ultimately add very little but are funny. So
and
if you
are transformative, so leave us the fuck alone.
Because if you want to support us to be able to make this content for you, then you can subscribe on Twitch $9.99 or for free with Twitch Prime by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. So YouTube viewers, if you have Amazon Prime, and you have not used your free Prime sub, you can give me and Kevin free money, me or Kevin, I guess, is one of us, free money by linking Amazon Prime to Twitch and using your Prime sub. You can also drop bits for helping read his message out. We'll read your message out. You can do that on YouTube by super chatting, and you become members on YouTube, which is 99p, which is cheaper than a can of Red Stripe. You can gift your memberships to help boost the streams and the algorithm, and we both have Patreon, and Kev has PayPal. We are making it very, very easy for you to fund us to be incredibly erudite political commentators and not people spewing shit from the sidelines.
True.
Exposed. He's supposed to really care about the asylum seekers, people coming in over in boats. And when you ask him about his plan for getting people back, he says it's only going to cost 10 billion. It's then put to him that his mate until recently had a plan that was exactly the same, that cost 5 times as much. And to which he says, oh, well, I've got somebody in my team who's really good at maths. Maths is not good enough to be able to change numbers in that way. And
all I can think of now is him saying, as qualified in maths, is him going, there's that bit from Cassette Boy versus the Apprentice where he goes, I've got a B in GCSE French. I know the words to Candle in the Wind. I won an egg and spoon race once. My car can go 100 miles an hour. I drink 1,000 cups of coffee a day. Nice. I'm certainly better than you tossers.
In order for him to have control of the country, he does need to have some substance and not just the gloss.
What then for your own party? A reshuffled team around Keir Starmer. We heard
And
John Healey.
I think it would be remiss of us not to mention the greatest Emily Thornberry moment, which was when the dear leader, the jam man, high-fived her tit.
He did high-five her in the tit, it's very true. So her
And they both had to pretend like that didn't just happen as well, which was very funny.
Her second most famous moment, after going out on Newsnight to back Keir Starmer saying war crimes were good.
Yeah, that's also that. Yeah, that was less funny though. Like,
No.
you know what I mean? But it was also mental.
Disputed the suggestion that he and his cabinet colleagues haven't listened to MPs enough. Do you think that this reshuffled cabinet is actually going to do anything very differently?
I think what he was saying particularly was that they were listening to the public, and I think that there's a difference between listening to focus groups and listening to members of parliament who themselves can be a cipher for the public. You know, members of parliament go out and knock on doors, they find out what their community is thinking, and then they bring it to parliament.
Jezza
and
must have
actually
felt
they
a right tit. Well, yeah, it was her right tit, yeah.
It was indeed, yeah.
need to be listened to,
And
as do the very members of the party who are also, you know, in that community.
And here are some images of the new cabinet. David Lammy, the new Deputy Prime Minister. There's the new Foreign Secretary,
talking of
Yvette
far-right
Cooper,
tits. Far-right tit?
Hey.
Come on now.
who a lot of people around these parts think was moved for not doing a good enough job on immigration.
If I had to create a politician who looked briefcase, it would be this guy.
Darren Jones's real peak briefcase. Ironically, I think he's one of the kind of less, like, whilst his political positions are very briefcase, like when he's actually speaking, he does sound like more of a human than the other ones.
Yes, he doesn't sound like he's a robot, yeah.
Like, when he got kind of in a bit of a heated debate with Zia Yusuf on migrant hotels in on Question Time, he actually sounded like a real human for once, which is more than you can say for literally everybody else in the cabinet that's not Ed Miliband.
Yeah, pretty much.
Interested in foreign affairs. I mean, I know her well.
Well, you're the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Looking forward to taking her on?
Yeah, of course. And I know that she's going to be looking forward to moving into the Foreign Office. She's done Home Affairs for a long time.
But do you think, though, that they, as a group of people, are actually going to be able to show to the public that they are governing effectively and that over time Labour will climb out of the doldrums?
I think we can certainly climb out of the doldrums.
What's interesting?
I think that we do need to put a spring in our step. I think
it's really interesting the framing there. Like, that she's saying governing effectively rather than governing in people's interests. I think it's a really interesting, like, kind
or
of
even
way she words this.
governing well, because you can be effective and shit. You know?
Yeah, well, Drew, it is Prime Gaming, by the way. Yeah, you got that right. To link Amazon Prime to Twitch, right? You need to game. It's Prime Gaming is why Twitch is usually a gaming platform. But yeah, like, because I think the biggest kind of disconnect between members of the public and the Labour Party is that people just don't know that the government has their interests at heart. They don't think that the government has their interests at heart. Broadly, because in lots of respects they don't, right?
Yeah.
That's the disconnect. People aren't looking at them and going, they're bad at they're ineffective at governance, even though that is true. They're looking at these people and go, they don't serve my interests, right? That's the really big disconnect, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is why you have, you know, approval ratings as pathetically low as they do. Like 11% approve of what you're doing. How are they not riots?
I've never seen it that low. I've never, like, not since Liz Truss.
9 out of 10 people don't approve of you. Oh. Adults in the room, everyone. Round of applause.
To be more confident, but I think that part of that has to be that we're confident that we are representing the public properly, and the way we do that is by listening. And by saying we have a plan, this is what we're doing. You may not like all of it. We know that some of you don't like all of it, but where we're going to, you do like. So give us a chance. We've only been in power for a year. Give us a chance and we can get there. But I think that we need to be able to...
we're going to listen, but we're not going to change anything. Because ultimately people do like the thing that we're doing. Honest. They like
well, the
the end
reality, of course, is
goal.
that like I don't necessarily disagree there, right? Is if you say some of you don't like the things we're doing, some of you do like the things that we're doing, right? But we were elected on a mandate, we're going to put it into practice. And like, that's perfectly reasonable. People have disagreements in politics. Not everyone can agree. The whole point is finding a consensus and then enacting that consensus through legislation, right? Fine. The reason why people don't like what you're doing is so much of what you're doing was nowhere near the manifesto, because the manifesto was a fucking pamphlet. You can't say, well, we were elected to enact change and that's what we're doing, because you weren't elected. You were just elected to fucking not be the Tories, right? And what you're doing, welfare cuts and support for Israel.
Yeah, ironically, they have just been the Tories.
That's what's so tilting, right? Is that fundamentally is if they just had, we are going to raise taxes, we're going to fund public services through broad-based tax increases or wealth taxes or a mixture of the two or whatever it might be, and we're going to have a different model of wage setting, all these kind of things, right? They just went in and did it. Then people would dislike it and they would go, look, we said we'd do it in the manifesto, promises made, promises delivered. And if it rose living standards, if broadly people look like that, people have their interests at heart, it would be at least a little less disliked, because they wouldn't be seen not only as not having people's interests at heart, but also as being con men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is how they are viewed. Keir Starmer is overwhelmingly described by everybody in this country as a liar. Right? That's the worst thing, is the hypocrisy and the lies and what people believed is the hoodwinking that they were engaging in by electing the government.
Yeah.
To use all the strengths of the Labour Party. And I think that sometimes people in number 10, and it always happens, whoever the leadership is, when whichever political party, can end up finding themselves increasingly isolated. And if you make decisions in a small group, you don't make such good decisions than if you are listening to a much wider group of people.
And as part of that group of a wider group of people is going to mean a new deputy leader. Would Dame Emily Thornberry fancy that as a job?
Go, Emily, go.
Well, no,
Look, Michael will run your campaign. I think that was an offer there. That would go very well with the Labour Party membership.
I'm thinking about it. And it's really a question of kind of what can I bring to it. I mean, I hear what is said about, the deputy leader should come from Manchester, and obviously the mayor of Manchester would say that. I'm sure that people would say they should come from Wales or from Scotland, or from what's important is what you bring. What's important,
right?
is what
But I
you
don't
bring.
think anyone thinks that a posh Southern woman is the go-to.
No, absolutely not.
No one wants
Okay.
posh Southern, really, because you've already got that. Like, that's already well overrepresented. Let's be honest.
Like for everyone people say about disliking representation politics or identity politics, no one actually dislikes it. Everyone just likes their own identity politics at the end of the day, in reality. And fundamentally, I think it is perfectly reasonable to say that there is not enough people represented from the north or from from blue-collar backgrounds in Parliament or in governance. It's not rocket science,
Yeah. That's a very weird question to ask, by the way. Who asked the question? Dan. Kev, who would you like to high-five in the tit? God is the answer.
Good, an excellent answer.
I'd like to high-five God in his titties.
The strength, you have the experience, can you actually make a difference?
But if
and I got to kind of think about that.
But if Michael and Brian and I all put a $5 on this time next week, Emily Thornberry having her name on the ballot to be Labour's next deputy leader, would we be 15 quid down or 15 quid?
I don't think you should be betting, guys. I don't think you should bet one way or the other. I think you should, and certainly not politics these days. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Let alone,
current or indeed former Tory MPs putting bets on political outcomes, not a good look.
That didn't end well, yes, and I'm not endorsing betting. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Brian, listening then to these two talk about how Nigel Farage could be challenged, and indeed about how Labour can climb out of the doldrums. To get you back on board,
but
as
just
somebody
listen
on
to
the
that.
left who, you've been interested in the Scottish
absolutely
National Party,
unquestioned. They were on top of the world after the election, just over a year ago, and they're now in the doldrums, unquestioned. No one it's fucking wild that that's happened so quickly. They've gone from being... I mean, they were never that popular, but they did, they under the electoral system, they got the votes they needed where they needed them and got a massive majority. And they fucked it up so completely that they're despised now by everyone, including their own members and backbenchers.
Well, that's again the problem. Again, is what I was saying is that they didn't put out an actual effective pitch to the public, other than just "We're not the Tories, please vote for us." And so, given that people voted for the mystery box, they implanted what they thought the mystery box might be, and they're all disappointed because at no point did they say, "We will raise national insurance and we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll change inheritance tax rule for farmers." So everybody who's seeing things that wasn't in the manifesto, because the manifesto was only there to get them over the line, not as a program for government, is feeling angry at being betrayed by the mystery box they'd invented in their fucking head, right? Again, if they'd just laid all this out before the election, asked people to vote for it, people may have disagreed, but they would accept the results. But everyone is looking at a program for government that was in no way put to the public at all, and getting angry because there's no mandate for it, because there isn't a mandate for it.
Yeah.
Also, just want to, before we move on, Drew, I would always recommend watching on Twitch rather than on YouTube. Or watching on YouTube, rather than Twitch, because YouTube has an algorithm that pushes the channel and Twitch doesn't. And also, just YouTube's just a better streaming platform with better features.
But you can give us money on either.
But Twitch is best for giving us money, because you can do it with money that you're already spending anyway, so it's free for you, and you're essentially sending money from Jeff Bezos directly to me.
Which I will use to raise an army against Jeff Bezos in Minecraft.
Yeah.
You are a man of the left. What would you like Keir Starmer to do that could get you back into his fold?
Well,
Are you allowed to advocate for self-harm on the BBC? I don't think you are. I don't think if he was honest and said kill himself, which is what he would say. I wouldn't say that. Obviously, that would be terrible. I think the BBC might not have published this.
I find Keir very Anglo-centric, quite honestly. I don't think he really has much knowledge of what's going on elsewhere. And I find that as a drawback in a leader of the Labour Party, quite honestly. And I find him like that a little bit. And so he seems to be very London-based.
He is very Anglo-centric, and he is very London-based, but he doesn't seem to know what's going on there either. He's just he's the Prime Minister who's like, oh, I've got the St George flag up. Yep. No, fuck the other flags. Those parts of the UK don't count. We can only be patriotic about England. Or sorry, let's pronounce it correctly. Ingerland, please.
Oh, by the way, Drew, if to use the Prime sub so that I get the money, because that's what's important here. Sorry, sorry, that was a joke. You actually have to go to this where it says subscribe, and then if you click use Prime sub, and because I can see you've linked your Prime now, but it's not coming up as being as you being subscribed to the channel, just as a follow, to get the subscription, so you get access to the emotes on Twitch, like the animated ones that you don't get on YouTube. Yeah. Then you click where it says subscribe, check the box so that it's ticked where it says use Prime sub, and then you get to sub for free.
Yeah, he's Davos centric. True.
Yes.
It kind of worries me a little bit. A lot of his thinking is like that. Now, maybe this is an improvement. Maybe this is going to go better. Maybe this is the right plan. I don't know. At least it is a plan, and he is shaking up people. And, of course, I know he wasn't particularly an Yvette Cooper fan. I know that for a fact. So, but it's just something that I've felt a little bit about.
If he weren't a
Keir,
fan of her, then making her one of the four great officers of state, that being Foreign Secretary, probably is not a wise thing to do.
No, quite. I mean, I guess maybe he just wants her to get implicated in genocide.
Yeah. Or just leave the country for most of the time. Because as Foreign Secretary, you do have to, fuck off elsewhere. Sort of what Theresa May did by giving it to Boris Johnson. She knew he was a fuck-up, but at least he was going to be a fuck-up 3,000 miles away. So.
Thank you for the Prime sub, Drew. Appreciate it.
But it turned out he then gave evidence that was used by the Iranian government to further imprison a British subject in Iran. So, not a great win as Foreign Secretary, that one, particularly. In fact, some might argue one of the darkest days in that office.
Because, Boris Johnson lied. When she was on holiday, Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe was visiting her, grandchildren in Iran.
Yeah.
And Boris Johnson just fucking made up that she was there to train journalists. And they were like, oh, so she's there spreading anti-regime propaganda. Well, she's getting locked up forever.
Yeah, thanks, Bozza. Really, what fantastic. Can we send him back to New York, please?
Oh, can we also let's also not forget the time when Boris Johnson conspired to have a journalist beaten up.
That is also a thing. What he did. He's a wrong 'un. He is a wrong 'un.
Very much the lawyer, in a way, and he's thinking, and I find it really unfortunate that he is not more embracing what's the real problems are. And I think that Emily sort of hit on it. He's not listening nearly enough. But he's not. It's not that he's not listening. He listens locally, but he's not listening to the country and the Britain as a whole.
Michael, do you have a sense of whether or not this will have an impact that Keir Starmer would like? You know, his team say, this is a new team, it's a reboot, we're going to be stronger, we're going to get ourselves together. Do you find that credible?
It is certainly the case that one or two of the people who have been given more prominent roles in this reshuffle are impressive in their own right. Shabana Mahmood and Patrick Gagnon are competent people who...
I'm sorry, what, Michael? I'm sorry. the impressive Pat McFadden.
Shabana Mahmood, like the least impressive person from Birmingham, which is saying something because I'm here as well. Yeah, these people are competent. Like I knew who was it who said it? Hang on, I have to find it on Twitter. But there was a thing. One of the people that was put forward by the in the reshuffle. Hang on a minute. I retweet so many fucking things. Where is it? Come on now. Tom Harwood. Here we go. Talking about
Steve Reed, the NIMBY.
Dan Tomlinson, who's been appointed Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury. And he says, this appointment is a significant signal, one of the smartest of the new intake, and a genuine champion of bulldozing blockages to growth. And I just say, if Tom Harwood likes him, you know he's a fucking knobhead.
Exactly.
You know he's a fucking absolute melter.
One of my funniest moments about Michael Gove and Shabana Mahmood was when he was on Jonathan Ashworth's podcast, which exists.
Which again is the reason that podcasters need to be dealt with. Yes.
Indeed so. And it came up on my TikTok feed. First of all, it involved Michael Gove being asked who his favourite Labour minister was, and he said Shabana Mahmood.
Oh, get rid of her now. Don't even wait to the election. Fucking hell.
I got to comment on that and say, well, obviously it can't be Jonathan Ashworth because he's not an MP anymore because he lost his safe seat of Leicester South to Shocker Adam. And last of all, it wasn't like a podcast clip, right? Jonathan Ashworth doesn't know how to clip out his own podcast. He had like professional mics and everything. He recorded it on his phone camera.
What?
And phone microphone. And then took the audio that he had phoned of just like Michael awkwardly staring in, talking into a microphone with proper audio to post to TikTok separately.
What? He goes on like GB News, not GB News, on ITV, right? He goes on Good Morning Britain. Look, he has access to like some of the best technical people in the country. You think he could hire one of them to do a bit of editing? Like, you are a relatively wealthy man. You don't need to be embarrassing yourself like that. Like, I record shit on like a phone or whatever because I've got no money and I don't know anyone who's technically gifted. You get to go on the fucking one of the major terrestrial channels, for fuck's sake.
Literally.
You're a former government minister. What? Ugh, God almighty. It just goes to show you, like, for all of the, like, there was always an assumption that people in power had a certain level of competence and, you know, were there for a reason, because otherwise how would they get there? And I think if anything has proven that over the last 20 years, it's total rubbish. I don't think they were ever that competent. It's just they were more confident and posh.
I mean, I think that it's a neoliberalism problem, right? Insofar as the merging of private sector and government has essentially made all politicians campaigners and all governance subcontracted out to management consultants in the private sector, right? In a pre-neoliberalism era, like, even if you hated the Tories and people did and they were right to do so, at least you can understand that the Tories just had a different view of society and they thought what was best for the nation was what would be done, and they would learn how to govern and they would do that effectively within their own remit of their own ideology, right? And that's what it was. And nowadays, in a post-neoliberalism world, like, everybody is just selling themselves to the highest bidder and campaigning to get elected on a bunch of lies, using smears and fucking rhetorical tricks, and that's basically it. You know, we live in a really fucking shit political era because all politicians are cunts.
Tell it how it is. Yeah.
I think can be trusted to do an effective job in their departments. However, the fundamental problem is Keir Starmer himself. His closest aides, before the general election, when they were talking to journalists, compared him to the driver of a Dockland light railway train. They were basically saying he is directed by others. He just sits there looking as though he's in charge. And we will see the deputy.
For those who don't know, the
DLR
is a driverless system. So they for mainly, it seems, not even for safety, but because of public perception, they employ a person to sit where the driver would sit, because it makes them feel like people don't. It was sort of felt that people didn't feel it was safe if there wasn't a person there, but that person, it would make no difference whether they were sat there or not, because they're not actually doing anything. They're just sat there. They are paid to sit down for hours. Yeah, so that's the kind of joke. They're saying it's basically autopilot. He might as well not be here, which is true. He's just a mouthpiece for Morgan McSweeney.
He really is. He really is. I think what's really funny, right, is these comments on the DLR, right? This is really funny because it echoes a really funny tweet by Matt Zarb-Cousin, who was a former advisor to Jeremy Corbyn, which was done like multiple years before we found out that that's what they were saying internally about Keir Starmer from his people within his own administration, right? This is from 2023. Matt Zarb-Cousin, if Starmer becomes Prime Minister, he'll be like a little child sitting in one of those coin-operated cars you find at supermarkets that go backwards and forwards, turning the steering wheel round thinking he's driving but not actually in control of anything.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. The goal of Pat McFadden's entire role in government is to keep putting the 10p pieces in.
literally
So
whilst
it
Morgan
just keeps
McSweeney
going.
just like goes, yeah, go for it, go Keir, you're doing so well, and he's just there and going, I'm the Prime Minister. literally that's what Keir Starmer is like. It's just genuinely, because all he does is just do prime ministerial things. He doesn't do policy. He doesn't actually engage in any of the actions a prime minister should do. He just looks like a prime. He goes to meetings and shakes hands with dignitaries. Like, it's
that's why he
just so
doesn't bother
fucking
talking to
funny.
his backbenchers, because what would be the point? Like, you would have as much sway on government policy if you talk to the pigeons at the bus stop than if you talk to the actual prime minister, because he's not the one deciding things.
It's just like that bit in Hot Fuzz when they go to the guy with the farmhand and they can't understand what he's saying, right? So they just have to go like two different. What did McSweeney say? Okay, what did McFadden say? What did Keir say? He's just like going through the chain of the people saying the different things.
Yeah, literally.
Goes for it. A debate about the future of the Labour Party, which will essentially be a group of people asking the question, how do we improve on, frankly, the vacuum that Keir Starmer currently provides?
Well, we will see. A
agree
lot
with
of his
Michael
allies
Gove.
would, of course, dispute that
Yeah,
very
that doesn't
strongly,
make me
that
feel
metaphor,
great.
but all three of you.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he is a canny. He's always been a canny political operator. That's how I got people to believe the fucking the hoax, the Muslim letter. What was it called? The Trojan horse.
Trojan
hoax, right?
horse, yes.
He's a canny political operator, and you have to like admire it. It's like Nazi architecture. Like, it's beautiful, but like representing something fucking horrifying.
Well, it's like Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, the current UK ambassador. Peter Mandelson was a superb political operator, a monster, an absolute monster, who knew how to, drip poison in the right ears. Like, it was basically him who made up the pig fucking thing, wasn't it?
Was it really?
Yeah. Like, there was a thing, but like, he may have done this thing, who knows? But in terms of like it becoming a public story, it was Peter Mandelson dripping. He literally referred to it as dripping poison in the ears of journalists, because Cameron had pissed him off. So he was just like, well, fuck you then. I know all of the dark arts, and I will open up on you, you bitch.
Also, like, if we, just in case anyone's thinking that we're over embellishing by saying that he was Epstein's best friend, no, this is his actual words, right? Mandelson called Epstein my best pal. UK ambassador to US alleged to have written note in birthday album.
Yeah. No, he literally did do that. There's that famous picture of him blowing out the candles on the birthday cake with him. Like,
Yeah.
gross. This is not like he bumped into him once at a party and they got snapped together in a photo. No, they were very close personal friends. There's no way he didn't know what was going on. Just saying. And presumably that's why he got the job in America.
Now. And thank you to you
Because
too.
he and the
because over
current president can bond over their mutual best friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. That's a
the
thing.
birthday cards they both signed.
summer, we had lots of interesting emails from you on all sorts of topics. You know we love to hear from you. The details are there of how you get in touch, and we might squeeze in
All I
some
can
in
think of
before
is
the
the
end of the
send us your
show,
reckons bit
or
from
they'll be
Mitchell
in
Webb.
our newsletter
What possible
on
reason could you
Thursday.
have not to
So with
message?
reform,
Surely ignorance shouldn't be a bar.
Yeah, true. Was Mandelson friends with Jimmy Savile? I don't think he was, no. To be fair, like, Jimmy Savile was basically an old man who'd retired by the time Mandelson became a thing. But,
There was a factor of people who were friends
yeah.
with Savile.
Oh, yeah, no, big time, big time. And again, there's no way they didn't know what was going on. 100%.
a big resignation and the reshuffle. It's not easy for the other parties to get a look in, but by any measure, it's notable that the Tories, who are the main opposition technically, have been struggling to take a toehold.
Who's this?
But Kemi Badenoch, I'm pleased to say, is...
Who's this person who's turned up in a weird little... Is that a denim shirt or something? What the fuck is this?
I mean, I can't... I mean, honestly, that seems well beyond something that we should be caring about, to be honest.
Well, it doesn't really matter. But either way, who the fuck is she?
Oh, I was saying her. I mean, her in general. I don't think we should care about her. I think we should move on to
you
the
want
next
to
thing.
you want to skip the Conservative lead, the leader of the opposition?
Honestly, I don't think she's right. I just don't think there's anything.
That's fair. You know what? Yeah, let's move on to Mike Huckabee instead.
What time are we on? What time? She's gone midnight. We can just we can just finish up there, to be honest.
Yeah, neither Mike Huckabee or whoever that other person was are relevant enough for us to bother with.
No,
so I feel like we
literally.
just don't need to. Yeah.
I mean, like, no, like, if I fucking putting segment up on YouTube, no one fucking watch it. No one. I mean, and honestly, no one does, right? You look at the videos this morning from, like, Trevor Phillips, whatever his fucking show is, on Sky News, right? People watch the bit by the Labour Party from the government. They watch a bit from Reform. In fact, they were watching the bit from Zach Polanski as well. The Conservative person, no one fucking cares. And rightly so.
Because they're dead. Yeah, it's a dead party.
It's over.
Yeah. It's never been more Jova.
Literally.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Bad and over.
Well, that just sounds like a minor tennis player. You got to the second round of the US Open, you know. That's, yeah. Anyway, yeah, let's find places to send people to on this fine Sunday... No, technically Monday morning. Jesus Christ.
On YouTube, I'm going to send people into The Noisy Immigrants.
I'm going to go to Lurker on the channel, Some Random Geek. Go and say hello to them.
Okay. And there's this channel I've just spotted here called Subversive History. Talking about how ICE got access to Israeli spyware, which sounds very interesting. So I'm going to send you over to them because I've never heard of them before, and I like to mix it up.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but I'll send everyone over to... I'll go to Raptor Blue. Sod it.
Bro, no worries. Well, everyone go and follow KF Logan 1875 on all of the platforms.
Go and follow No Justice MTG on all of the platforms immediately.
Otherwise, we'll find you. We'll hunt you down.
Literally. And I'll be back tomorrow with my regular content.
Christy?
I might... Well, possibly not, because I think she was in Devon or somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we'll... But I might be on, I might do... I don't know what games are on tomorrow, but I might do a sportsy thing or something, maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Yes, free Palestine and that.
From Rivets at Sea. Bye from.
Bye-bye.